No matter who you are or where you come from, no one is actually destined for greatness. Nothing will be handed out to you you don't earn. The best players say, "Give me the ball and watch me work." So commit to greatness and make people marvel at what you do. Not wonder, what could have been? Who will be the next great NBA player? His picture on walls. His name a brand. His game remembered forever. You seized your future from fate's hands. You created this opportunity. So now that you're here, what I want to know is, what are you going to do with it?
The players dream of following in the footsteps of those legends. Franchises are counting on them to turn around their fortunes. Welcome to the NBA Draft 2018, presented by State Farm. In Brooklyn tonight, just about ready to get things going. Here's the Commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver.
Good evening, and welcome to the 2018 NBA Draft at Barclays Center, home of the Brooklyn Nets. To the fans here tonight and those watching around the world, thank you for your support. This past season was defined by countless unforgettable highlights, including a record number of three-pointers and the league's highest scoring average in nearly 30 years. The playoff picture was decided in overtime on the last night of the regular season. Both conference finals were decided in Game 7s for the first time in 39 years, and the finals featured some of the NBA's all-time greatest players and an all-time great team, the Golden State Warriors. Let me congratulate them on back-to-back championships. The Warriors' entire organization embodies the values that have long defined this league: equality and inclusion, which judgments made solely on talent, effort, and achievement. This year's draft class is made up of an impressive group of young men who will continue to define the modern NBA player, basketball superheroes who can seemingly do anything on the floor. They made their way here through countless hours of practice, grit, and determination, each with his own unique story. Congratulations to you and your loved ones on this dream come true. Tonight is about you and the people who have supported and encouraged you. These young men will soon hear their names called. Which team will they play for? Let's find out. The first pick in the 2018 NBA Draft belongs to the Phoenix Suns, who have 5 minutes to make their selection.
The Suns had the worst record in the NBA last year, and there is the man that everyone expects that the Suns will draft #1 overall. DeAndre Ayton was sensational for the Arizona Wildcats. Played some of his high school ball in Phoenix, college in Arizona. It's really seemingly the perfect fit for a franchise that has been good in the past but has fallen on hard times. They've been around for half a century. Twice they've reached the NBA Finals, the Westfall Alvin Adams teams in '76, and then Barkley and Thunder Dan and the Mayor in '93. With Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, very good. 3 times made it to the Western Conference Finals, but Since 2010, winning percentage of less than .400. They've missed 8 straight playoffs, second longest active streak in the NBA. But Devin Booker's a sensational scorer, 25 points per game. Josh Jackson out of Kansas finished the season strong, and now, for the first time in franchise history, they have the #1 overall pick. Though they did lose a coin flip in '69 and didn't get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Can't put Jabbar-sized expectations yet on Ayton, but they hope that championship quality guys what they're going to get from him.
Yeah, and if they take DeAndre Ayton, if they take Luka Doncic, they're going to get a really good player. But there's a tremendous amount of responsibility that goes with being a #1 overall pick. And this is a really exciting time. I think Ayton's the pick because of his size, his fluidity. He's an above-the-rim player. He's a monster. And I think he's mobile and can step away. And so he fits into the modern-day big guy mold. He can do it all. And I think when everybody saw him early on in the season, it seemed like it was Marvin Bagley III that was going to be the #1 pick. He was killing it early on. Well, I think after everybody saw DeAndre Ayton, they were going, wait a minute. They don't make guys like this very often. It's got to be him.
And the interesting thing is our game has become such a guard-driven, playmaking, wingman's game. This guy got to be pretty good if he's going #1 when you got the likes of Trae Young, Colin Sexton, Luka Doncic, where we know they're playmakers. But it gives me a little hope that maybe our game is going back to the game that I fell in love with, where there's very good serviceable big men and point guards and not just a little bitty small guards game.
This franchise has lost nearly 180 games the last 3 years. There's a lot of pressure on the franchise, not only get the pick right, but for them to deliver soon. How can that impact DeAndre Ayton's development?
Well, I think his game translates very easily and very quickly to the NBA game. You mean, look at his physical ability. He's a specimen. I mean, he runs the floor. He protects the rim. You know, they have a couple of really good players that were high draft picks, and Devin Booker, who's one of my favorite 2 guards in the league, and also Josh Jackson, who I think is the perfect guy to play with guys that really score the basketball. He does the intangible things. So Ayton is a guy that he's going to gobble up a lot of space down there. He's going to demand the basketball down there. He's going to be good in pick and rolls. I think he's a can't-miss guy at the #1 spot right now.
And the question is, the only questions there have been or concerns about DeAndre Ayton have been his motor, his want to. Does he have the super high-level motor to do it every single night and to carry that kind of load? Because he's an anchor player. And I think he's going to be a good shot blocker. He blocked 2 shots per game last year. That's 4th in the Pac-12. I think he can be much better than that. He goes out and he'll guard pick and rolls. He's mobile. He can move his feet. I think he's the real thing. I really like him.
Jay, let me ask you a question. When you talk about that motor, right? Perhaps has he gotten bored every now and then? Playing in college, you're not playing against guys every single night. He can go to sleep and wake up and get 22 and 13 in college. Perhaps is that an issue maybe?
That's part of the issue. I think sometimes, John, like I see it from a big guy perspective, that it seems like we question the motor of the big guy more than anybody else. And that dude had 24 double-doubles this year. If he doesn't have a motor, he's doing just fine without one.
Yeah, I think only Michael Beasley had more in a single season. We expect that the name will be DeAndre Ayton. The commissioner, Adam Silver, just about ready to step to the microphone and give us the Suns pick with the first overall pick in this 2018 draft.
With the first pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select DeAndre Ayton from Nassau, Bahamas, and the University of Arizona.
Ayton going ahead of Marvin Bagley III, and he is the 9th straight freshman to go #1 overall and the first Arizona Wildcat to be selected with the top overall pick in the draft. Ayton said during the lead up to the draft, you see his coach at Arizona, Sean Miller, that he knew he was going to go #1. He sold the Suns, and now he's the first overall pick in the draft.
And rightfully so, Reese. He is the prototypical big man in today's NBA. 7'1". He's got a 7'5" wingspan. And by the way, in Vegas, the over-under for my saying wingspan is 4.5. Take the over and tip it back, America. But he's a fluid athlete with great footwork. He's a freak athlete in addition to being a fluid one, but a physical specimen that is broad-shouldered, He is big and strong, and it seems like it takes big guys years to put on that kind of frame, and he's got it coming into the NBA. But he is a complete offensive player. He can rebound. He's very good in the post. He's got excellent footwork with his back to the basket. You can see him spinning to the rim there. And he can face up, and he's got a very nice jump shot, and I think he can stretch that out even further. Any rebound he wants, he can get, and he can tip it and keep it alive and tip it to himself. He's got a second and third jump. He's also a good shooter from the free throw line, 75%, an excellent shooting stroke, and he can pass out of the post. A really, really good player.
And here's the guy who he reminds me of, Joel Embiid. He can take you out to the mid-post area. He can go back to the basket. He's very agile, and as Jay said, the complete offensive game. But not only that, he affects the other side of the basketball court. He's a rim protector and can guard and pick and rolls. I see a lot of promise in this young man.
DeAndre Ayton is a native of the Bahamas 40 years ago. Another player from the Bahamas, Michael Thompson, was selected first overall. He moved to the United States at age 13. This was after he went to a basketball camp. His dad had let him come to work with him as a plumber and paid him $20 a day. He lasted a week. Dad said, "You coming back next week?" He said, "No way. I'm paying for a basketball camp." That was a wise decision and a very good investment as DeAndre Ayton's with Maria Taylor.
Absolutely, Reese. And DeAndre, go ahead, open up your jacket. We're talking about the Bahamas, and he has the flag stitched to the inside of his coat. And let's start there. When you were 12 years old, you came to the States and you said you wanted to find a job to help your family in the Bahamas, and you've accomplished that goal. What does it mean in this moment?
I mean, it means the world to me. My family and coaches know the hard work I put in this game to really try and be successful and achieve all my goals. And, we put God first in everything we do. No matter what type of trials and tribulations we went through, we always had faith in everything we do to be successful.
When you first showed up, you were called Tall for Nothing, TFN. That's what coaches, that's what players called you, and now it's come full circle. What did you have to do to make it into this moment?
I mean, really to try to prove people wrong and, just stick to what I do. Work on my craft every day, take pride in it, and, represent my country the best way I can.
All right, you played high school in Arizona, you played college at Arizona, now you get to start your professional career with Phoenix. What does it mean to start it out there?
It means a lot to me because, the fans out there are amazing. They're the best fans in the world. And, I really want to go to Phoenix. I'm really happy to be a part of the Phoenix Suns now to really start a winning legacy with Devin Booker and Josh Jackson and all those other guys. And they're great. We're a young team and we're ready. I'm just happy to be a Phoenix Sun.
All right, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Shaq and Kobe 2.0. All right, you have a very busy day, so go ahead and get started. You're going to start going this way, and your media tour continues. The post-pick tour includes 7 different stops for you. Go ahead, you can go. And that means it starts with ESPN Radio, guys, and we're going to have cameras everywhere so we can keep track of these guys as they keep going. And apparently, Mr. Ayton's going to join you guys after the 16th pick, so you'll get to pepper him with some questions as well.
Maria will look forward to that. DeAndre Ayton's team, Phoenix, scheduled to pick 16th, depending on whether they can move up. And, of course, they'll make the pick at 16 because the draft order has been frozen as it was 2 o'clock this afternoon. Sacramento Kings are on the clock, and they haven't wasted any time at all. There's still more than a minute on the clock, and they've given their selection to the commissioner.
With the second pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Marvin Bagley III from Duke University.
Marvin Bagley III, who averaged 21 and 11 for Duke. I'll get our research guys on this. When's the last time that we had former high school teammates go 1-2 in the NBA Draft? Ayton and Bagley played together for a year in Phoenix, and Bagley didn't shy away from working out with Sacramento, and now he hopes to be a cornerstone of that franchise as he makes his way up to be greeted by Adam Silver as we take a look at one of the Mountain Dew Kickstart Rising Stars, Marvin Bagley III.
The first thing that sticks out about Marvin Bagley III is how hard he plays. He never takes a play off. He has elite size and athleticism, and this guy can really run. He is really productive, especially on the offensive end. the best offensive big guy in this draft, and most of his play is instinctive. He is explosive off the floor, and talk about a second and third jump. His second and third jump is the best I have seen since I've been doing this. And talk about running the floor. He is a transition big guy that can really change ends. A productive rebounder, averages almost 12 rebounds per game, 4 of them on the offensive end. A left-hand dominant player, really the only concern you have about Marvin Bagley III. He's not a great defensive player, at least not yet. Will he block shots? Will he get steals? I think he can. He hasn't yet.
Here's a guy he reminds me of, Chris Bosh. Left-handed player, Chris Bosh had every move in the book. Very, very good 15, 17 foot, and even increased to three-point land, being able to shoot the basketball, but his motor, and I love how hard he plays, and that's why he's going to have a phenomenal rookie season.
Well, you get the feeling that this is exactly what Sacramento wanted in that second spot. Didn't waste any time getting the pick in. And it's another big night for Duke. The last 5 NBA drafts, the Blue Devils have had at least one player selected in the top 3. That's the longest streak, eclipsing UCLA in the 70s from 74 to 77. The latest one is Marvin Bagley III, who's going to the Kings. Marvin is with Maria Taylor.
Well, Reese, when Marvin sat down, the first thing he said is, "This is crazy." He's been shaking his head like you can't believe it. What does it mean to go number 2 overall in this draft?
It means the world. I also want to thank Jesus, man. He got me to this point. Without him, I wouldn't even be here. So I'm just blessed, man. I'm happy to be in Sacramento.
You said that you want to be remembered as a winner. In what ways will you help this organization win moving forward?
No, I'm gonna be ready to come in and give it my all, man. I'm ready to come in with a hard work ethic, a motor. Effort's gonna always be there. I'm excited, man. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to get out there and get settled in and get to work.
All right, you got a huge media tour coming up ahead of you, so enjoy it. Enjoy this moment, and let's get it over to Woj, who has an update for us.
Maria, the Atlanta Hawks and Dallas Mavericks have agreed in principle to a deal that would send the 3rd pick in the draft from Atlanta to Dallas for the 5th pick and a future first-round pick from Dallas to Atlanta. It's contingent on this, that the Hawks will select Luka Doncic with the 3rd pick. They will send him to Dallas, and if Trae Young is still there at number 5, and he's expected to be, Memphis is focused on Jaren Jackson at 4. Trae Young will go from the Dallas Mavericks at 5 to the Atlanta Hawks at 3.
All right, Woj told us as we started our draft coverage to watch for this. Apparently the Hawks and the Mavericks have an agreement, but it's the Hawks who will be making the selection here.
With the 3rd pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Luka Doncic from Ljubljana, Slovenia, and Real Madrid.
Man, it has been quite a couple of days for Luka Doncic. We saw him hugging his mother there. As Trae Young now sits and waits. We expect from what Woj just told us that Luka will be on his way to Dallas in the heir apparent as the franchise cornerstone after Dirk Nowitzki. As Woj pointed out, his contingent on Trae Young still being there and ultimately winding up with the Hawks. But this player is a guy internationally who is as proven and as scouted as any international player we've had. NBA draft expert and scout extraordinaire Mike Schmitz is with us. You believed Luka should have been the number 1 overall pick, Mike.
To me, Luka Doncic is the best basketball player in this draft, the childhood prodigy who's lived up to the hype. Has a perfect game suited for the modern NBA. 6'8", 230 pounds. His game really pops in transition. Now, he's not a Ben Simmons caliber athlete, but there's that same type of excitement when he attacks the defensive rebound and pushes in the open floor. In the half court, he's a tactician in pick and roll. He's outstanding using both sides of the floor, extremely creative with his deliveries. To me, he's the best passer in this draft. We haven't seen a guard who can pass the ball out of ball screens like him in quite some time. Then he's a fearless shot maker. I was at this game in Belgrade, game on the line, late clock. game-winning pull-up three. He's fearless. He creates space with step-backs going left, going right. He's a big-time shot maker, has no fear. And we haven't seen a prospect like Luka Doncic at 19 years old, EuroLeague MVP, ACB MVP. To me, this is an absolute steal for the Dallas Mavericks. They're getting a guy who could potentially be the best player from this draft.
Oh, that is the proposed trade that would send Doncic on to Dallas. You see Mike speaks glowingly of Doncic. There are very few who believe that he's going to be a bust. Billis and Mike have both talked about Doncic perhaps being the guy with the highest floor. He is among the highest drafted international players of all time, the 5th international player ever to be drafted in the top 3. Now, you've probably seen this stat all day as the discussions have started on Doncic, that you've had 23 international players selected in the lottery, only one making it to an all-star game. Maria is with Luka.
Gotcha. All right, we've got Luka here, and I know you're wearing an Atlanta hat, but if a trade goes through, according to Woj, you will actually be headed to Dallas. So let's talk through that, and how much communication have you had with the Dallas organization?
Yeah, I've been talking to them, I've been talking to a lot of teams, but especially Dallas, they've been talking to me. They were so nice to me. And I'm glad, I'm just happy to be in the NBA, I'm just happy to be a part of that.
Now, Luka says that the only reason he hasn't heard anything is he doesn't have internet here in the States yet, so he hasn't heard from any coaches or any organization. But you have been a pro in the EuroLeague. How do you think that will compare to your pro career in the NBA?
I mean, I have a lot of ex-NBA players in my team. I play against a lot of ex-NBA players. And I have some great teammates, and they taught me so much, and especially the NBA players, they've been talking to me about NBA like the whole year, They know I was coming, so I think I'm prepared.
All right, well, thanks for your time, Luka. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Reese?
All right, Maria, Luka, thank you very much. The Memphis Grizzlies are on the clock with the 4th pick. They are coming off a 22-win season. That is the fewest since 2008-2009. Their star point guard, Mike Conley, missed virtually the entire season with a heel injury. J.B. Bickerstaff was an interim coach, so now the Grizzlies are in position to go a full season with J.B. Bickerstaff. They've had some problems in terms of attracting guys and their scouting to get ready for this NBA draft. Let's check in with Woj right now. Woj, what's it like in Memphis at the moment?
Well, Jaren Jackson was one player among several who are hesitant to go in and work out for the Grizzlies. Questions about the structure of the organization, the direction of it with ownership. But in the last 24 hours, as it became clear that Jackson was the Grizzlies' choice, he became much more comfortable with going to Memphis. He's provided the necessary personal information that Memphis had requested, and some great conversations with Memphis's coach, J.B. Bickerstaff, really put Jackson at ease about his future there, his development, and how they want to build around him. There are several GMs in this draft who have told me that they think Jaren Jackson, in the long run, may be as good as any prospect in this group.
Very young player as well, Woj, for sure. Bobby Marks is our front office executive, former front office executive, who certainly understands the in and outs of building a roster. What do you see right now in Memphis, Bobby?
Well, I think, Reese, getting the medical was the key part for Jaren Jackson Jr. If he is the selection at number 5 there, or number 4. If there was no medical, I would have had to pass on him. And I think, Reese, this is the key point here. Is we're going to get a point here where players are going to need to share their medical information for all 30 teams and not play this sneak around game where we're kind of dictating what teams they want to go to right now. And how do we do that? I don't know, but there'll be a time where the NBA and the PA are going to have to come together. But getting the medical to Memphis for Jaren Jackson Jr. is the key part of this. I would have had to pass if he was still there.
And the technicality there, Jay, we were talking about this earlier, is because these players technically aren't part of the Players Association yet, they can pick and choose where they release their information.
Yeah, so it's not a subject of collective bargaining for the players until they're in the NBA and part of the union. But that doesn't mean if one team gets a medical, they shouldn't be made to share it with everyone. Because I agree with Bobby, that's not something that teams should be competing with each other on. That's something everybody should have. Then they assess it the way they want to and assess their risk the way they want to. But everyone should have access to, every team should have access to the same medical information on a player, in my judgment.
It's crazy. I can remember myself, trying to not go to different teams. But hey, guess what? At the end of the night, you just want to be in the NBA. You want to live your dream.
And you lived yours, won a championship with a guy you didn't know you wanted to play for at the beginning. Is that right, with Larry Brown?
That's a great story. We're going to have to talk about that.
We've got a long time tonight, Sean. So you know it's your first time. Grizzlies have their pick. It's 4th overall. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 4th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Jaren Jackson Jr. from Michigan State University.
The Big Ten freshman and defensive player of the year in his lone season with Tom Izzo and the Spartans. His dad was a longtime NBA player, won a championship with the Spurs. His mom is director of player ops at WNBA. As you see Miles Bridges, his teammate at Michigan State. We'll hear his name called a little bit later on tonight. But Jaren Jackson, big guy, shooting touch, do a lot of things, a modern big in the NBA.
And he's only going to get better, Reese. You referenced it. He's the youngest big guy in this draft. He's got long arms. He's got huge hands. He may be the best overall defender in this draft when you take into account shot blocking, rim protecting, and his ability to get out and guard pick and rolls. He can guard 1 through 5 for at least a couple of dribbles, and he's only going to get better. He can knock down shots to three-point range. He's got this standstill set shot. But I think you're looking at a player, I agree with Woj. He's got a chance to be as good as anybody in this draft. He's a very good shooter. He made 38 threes this year from deep. He shot over 40% from 3. It's a little set shot, but when he gets his feet set, he knocks it down with regularity. And he made just about 80% of his free throws. And he is an excellent shot blocker with terrific mobility. Per 40 minutes, he blocked 5.5 shots per game. Now, that also went with 6 fouls per 40 minutes, so he's got to clean that up a little bit. But he's a guy that's got upside in the post. He plays with his back to the basket. That is not yet the best part of his game, but he's going to get better and better there as well. He can shoot. He can knock down free throws. He's going to be a really good player.
And here's a guy who he reminds me of a little bit, Joakim Noah. I think he's much better offensively. Obviously, he shoots the jumper better than Joakim does. But the way that he competes on the defensive end, he's competitive on both ends, runs the floor extremely well, high-level finisher around the rim. Reminds me a lot of Joakim.
Jaren Jackson Jr. on his way to Memphis. You guys like those in-depth analytical stats? Since 1992, you've had 10 players with a 14% block rate, 63% true shooting percentage. All of those guys made a grand total of 2 threes. As Jay mentioned, Jackson made 38 this past season. He's with Maria.
All right, Jaren.
Someone's got my phone, right? Oh.
So you just gonna
I'm sorry. I'm
say?
I'm here. I'm just making sure, my dad has my phone at the table.
All right, you said that this entire moment was going to be priceless. I mean, how would you describe what it means to be a top 5 pick?
There's no words. There's no words to describe it. It's all the hard work we put in the gym. And, it just leads up to this type of moment. Now I'm a Memphis Grizzly. That's crazy, I'm really happy. I'm so happy.
Well, you were screaming at Dad, and Dad spent 13 seasons in the NBA, but he went undrafted. Mom, she's director of operations for player personnel in the WNBPA. So what have they meant during this journey to the draft?
Everything. My dad's been on me since day one. He loves me. He's been my coach, my mentor, my father, and my mom's been with me every step of the way. They both have led me, and my grandmother's here. My grandmother gets to see me get drafted. That's crazy, and Pops is here.
I love that Pop showed up. Now, Dad, you didn't get drafted, but it's fun to see your son go in the top 5. I mean, what does this moment mean for you?
Absolutely. I'm so proud. I love him, of course, and he's worked hard, and all the credit goes to him. My lovely wife, our son, this is a proud moment with the Jackson 3.
Mom is still wearing the Spurs championship ring from 1999.
Yes.
I mean, now seeing your son about to play in the same league that your husband does, what does that mean?
It is awesome. It is the perfect end and beginning all at once. We are so proud. We are so proud. This was the year he was born. This is that championship year.
So it all comes full circle. Congratulations.
Maria, Jaren, and the Jackson family, thank you very much. Mavericks on the clock. We've heard that they likely have a deal with Atlanta. We expect Trae Young here.
With the 5th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Trae Young from the University of Oklahoma.
In the days leading up to the draft, the guy who was a sensation in college basketball last year, some said would be slipping. Concerns about his size, concerns about his defense. He said it was up to him to change that narrative about whether he defended anyone. Let me tell you, this dude put up offense on everybody with 27 points and nearly 9 assists to lead the nation in both categories. Woj, you got some more details on this proposed deal with the Mavericks and the Hawks?
Yeah, Reese, the Hawks general manager, Travis Schlenk, has coveted Trae Young throughout the entire season. Schlenk came from the Golden State Warriors, worked in their front office. He was there when they drafted Steph Curry, and Curry became a 2-time MVP. Now, he's not sure that he's got Steph Curry here, but he absolutely got a player he believes will be a star for the Hawks. And I think right now for them, this was the best case scenario in the draft, because not only does he get a player he wanted greatly in Young, he gets a first-round pick from Dallas next year. And this is a draft where Atlanta's got 3 first-round picks.
Now here's the proposed trade. The Hawks expected to get Trae Young in that first rounder next year, though it will be protected. The Mavericks get the guy they believe will be their future in Luka Doncic. Now let's talk about Trae Young, who led the nation in scoring and assists.
Well, Trae Young is a prolific scorer. You talk about shooting range. I mean, he can really shoot it. An elite scorer with logo range. When he comes across half court, you leave him open. He will shoot it from 30-plus feet and make it. Very, very good with the ball. Very good in pick and roll situations. Genius level in reading pick and rolls. He's an excellent handler and creator. He's very crafty. He can split defenders. He can snake pick and rolls. 10 assists per 40 minutes, and it's not like he played with an unbelievable cast of characters that could really make shots, but his shooting range really sets him apart. I mean, you can see how good he is with the ball, but if you have a hand down, he's going to put that thing up from 30 feet. And when he takes good shots, he is very, very efficient. He just lacks size, and he's not a good defender.
Yes, I mean, we all have to say it. I mean, he has a lot of Steph Curry in his game. Very crafty, keeps you guessing, changes speeds with his offensive tempo, can make every shot, floaters, three-point shots. And one thing he does very well that nobody talks about, he passes with the left hand off of the dribble better than anybody I've seen in college.
Trae Young has been sensational. Mavericks picking him, expected that he will go on to the Atlanta Hawks. Now, let's compare Trae Young as a freshman with Steph Curry when he was a junior the year he came out of Davidson, and the numbers were very similar there. Steph a little bit better in terms of percentage, but rewind it back to when Steph was a freshman, as Trae Young was this year, and the advantage tilts at least in terms of the numbers to Trae Young in scoring, though the three-point percentage from Curry was a little bit better there. Trae Young is with Maria.
All right, Trae, you've got on a Dallas hat, but a proposed trade could have you headed to Atlanta. What have you heard from the Hawks organization?
I knew they were very interested. I had a really good workout when I went out to Atlanta. I had a great time visiting with the organization in the front office, and I love spending time with Coach Pierce, and can't wait to get out there and meet the fans and get ready to spend some time with my new teammates.
I heard he told you there's a 4-point line out on the court now?
Yeah, he told me we have a 4-point line out there on the top of the key, and so he likes to get up and down, shoot some threes.
Okay, I know you like to be different, so you came with the shorts to the draft and a lot of words on your shoes. Can you just describe what's going on?
Yeah, well, I was looking back in history and I was wondering what could I do different, and nobody's ever worn shorts to a draft, so I wanted to be different and wear shorts for the first time. And then on my shoes I have be different, and I have the date that my grandfather passed when I was 10 years old on there, and the special and family, the things that I like to represent. So tonight was something I really wanted to represent that.
All right, well, congratulations, Trae. Grandfather put the basketball in his hand for the first time, and now you're a top 5 pick. Congratulations. Enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you so much.
Maria, Trae, it's a poignant night. People remember their family and everyone who's made sacrifices to get there. Second straight year, Orlando's made the 6th pick.
With the 6th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Mohamed Bamba from the University of Texas.
Mo Bamba, The native of Harlem will have the longest wingspan in the NBA next year at 7 feet and 10 inches. He's been working with workout guru Drew Hanlon to try to improve his perimeter shot. A very astute guy. Talked about noticing how some bigs weren't on the floor at the end of playoff games, and he wants to be able to do that. Mo Bamba, a defensive presence for sure right out of the gate.
Did you just reference his 7'9" wingspan?
7'10".
Yeah, stay in your lane, Reese Davis. That is my territory. I get credit in Vegas for that wingspan.
Have you copyrighted that term?
He's got 2 NBA skills right now that translate immediately. He's a big-time shot blocker, and he's an excellent rebounder that's got great length. Really, what you could compare him to is a young Rudy Gobert with better offense than Gobert had when he came into the NBA. He gets 14 rebounds per 40 minutes, 3.2 offensive rebounds. He blocks about 4 shots per game. He's really getting better on the offensive end. He doesn't have much of a post game. He plays a little bit too straight up and down, and he can be moved off the block because he's not as strong lower base-wise as he needs to be. But his coach Shaka Smart did a great thing with him in practice. They would do a great job of pick and pop. So he did a lot of that in practice where he would shoot the ball, and he really does run extraordinarily well. He's an excellent athlete. His frame doesn't look all that strong, but he has worked on his strength, and he will continue to get stronger, and he's retooled that shot. But with his length and athleticism, he's going to be really good.
Jay, did you just say stay in your lane?
Yes.
You just told my guy, Reese, to stay in his lane, and then you told everybody who I was going to pick as his comp. Rudy Gobert. I love this guy. I see Mo Bamba just like I see Rudy Gobert, but like you said, a better offensive skill set. I'm very, very happy for this kid. Ultra, uber smart, and I think Coach Clifford is going to have a good time coaching him.
I like Chauncey, tag team partner on Billis. And Mo Bamba blocked a lot of shots. No shoot for you or you. Nearly 4 per game. That was second in the nation. His 7'10", I try to let you say it, wingspan. The longest ever recorded at the Combine. Some other notable NBA player. Well, you keep messing your cue. Wingspans, you see them, but not quite as long as Manute Bol, who some say did the most amazing thing in NBA history with the way that he went around and blocked shots. For some reason, there's a giant eagle landing on Mo's head, which I guess is a little bit about the same as Mo's wingspan, but not quite as wide as a transit bus. Maria Taylor tried to show off her wingspan on College Game Day this year, but it was nothing compared to Mo Bamba's.
Absolutely nothing. And Mo did love the cartoon, by the way. Let's talk through being the hometown guy. The first draft you ever watched was Kyrie Irving, the Jersey guy, coming through, and now it's you, the guy from Harlem. What does it mean?
It means the world to me to come back to the city and be drafted right where I started everything. It's just surreal. I mean, words can't describe how I feel right now.
What has the Orlando Magic organization told you about the role they would like for you to play on their team?
They want me to contribute right away. I'm super fortunate to be heading down there. I'm super happy, and I just can't wait to get down there.
All right, give him your wingspan one good time while you stand up. Show it to him. Go ahead. He has to loosen up. There it is. Orlando Magic fans, get used to that. Have fun, Mo.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The Harlem native, Jonathan Isaac, last year's 6th pick and team with him. We've got some big-time teams coming up. Marquee franchises. Knicks trying to get a savior. Who can Philly add to the mix? Big-name squads drafting soon.
Feels good, right? NBA Draft 2018 is presented by State Farm, here to help life go right. And in part by PlayStation. Greatness awaits.
Chicago Bulls are on the clock. Their pick coming soon. We've got some really cool backstage access for you. As you see, the #1 pick in the draft, DeAndre Ayton, is going to his rounds, and with all of the various media outlets. As I mentioned, Bulls on the clock, 27 wins, fewest since 03-04. Last time they had exactly 27 wins, they drafted Michael Jordan the next year. Should be so lucky this year. They acquired the #22 pick in the Nikola Mirotic trade that came just after the Cousins injury for the Pelicans. And then Lauri Markkanen out of Arizona was an all-rookie first-teamer, averaging 15 points, 7.5 rebounds for Chicago this year. So Fred Hoiberg trying to rebuild that Chicago team, get it going. Who will they choose to go with Chris Dunn and Markkanen and Zach LaVine? Commissioner has the answer.
We have an early trade to announce. The Atlanta Hawks trade the draft rights to Luka Doncic, the 3rd pick, to the Dallas Mavericks for the draft rights to Trae Young, the 5th pick, and a future 1st-round pick. And now, with the 7th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Wendell Carter Jr. from Duke University.
A versatile big man from the Blue Devils make it the 3rd time that a pair of Blue Devils taken in the top 10. Jahlil Okafor and Justice Winslow did it in 2015. Our buddy Jay Williams and Mike Dunleavy back in 2002. Both in the top 10. And Wendell Carter Jr., who chose to go to Duke over going to Harvard, a bright guy. He was terrific this season and really accepted his role once Marvin Bagley III reclassified and joined Duke this year. So a couple of Blue Devils going, and this seems to be a really smart pick from Chicago, taking Wendell Carter Jr.
I would not differ with that at all. Wendell Carter Jr. is an absolute workhorse. He is strong. He is an outstanding rebounder that always goes after the ball with both hands. He's a two-handed rebounder. In the post, he's effective over either shoulder. He's got a very smooth shooting stroke. He shoots 74% from the free throw line and can step away and knock down a perimeter jumper. Very good with his back to the basket. Excellent feet, especially early on. He's got a turnaround jumper, jump hook, and a very smooth shooting stroke that will only get more fluid as time goes on. Is not the most explosive player inside. He certainly is not as explosive as DeAndre Ayton or Marvin Bagley III, but he is really, really strong, and he's tough to move around. Maybe a little bit of a question mark as to how mobile he is as a pick-and-roll defender. His conditioning got better as the season went along, but he can block shots, and he reminds you a little bit of Al Horford in the way he plays, a young Al Horford. But I really like Wendell Carter Jr. I think he's got a tremendous future ahead of him.
Jay, I agree with you. I do see a lot of Al Horford in him, but I'm going with another Blue Devil, and that's Carlos Boozer, a guy who's very physical on both ends, doesn't shy away from any of that. Makes a lot of non-stat sheet hustle plays that you love to be on the team with. And I just love who took them. I love what they're putting together there. I like their backcourt with Dunn and LaVine. And these two big guys, him and Markkanen, are going to play very well together.
Wendell Carter Jr. going 7th overall. It's a guy who acted in high school. As you see Wendell's dad and Marvin Bagley's father embracing and celebrating after the 1 year at Duke, and it has paid off, both being taken in the top 7 of the draft. Wendell Carter Jr. is with Maria.
Wendell, we just saw your dad. He's very emotional right now in the green room, and he played overseas in Puerto Rico, but his dream for you was to play in the NBA. What does it mean to make that step?
It means a lot. You know, my dad, wanted to go to the NBA at some point. Didn't work out for him. Like you said, went overseas. And it's like he's living through me. And just for me to be able to walk across the stage, it's like it's a presence with me in him.
I know that you worked out for Chicago, and so what strengths of your game do you think will fit into their system?
Just being a hard worker, coming in and do whatever they ask me to do. Just being the best rebounder, taking more shots, taking great picks for other players to get open. It's whatever I have to do to win.
All right, so now you and Marvin Bagley are top 10 picks. What does it mean for a couple of Dukies to go in the same draft?
It feels good. From the first practice when we first met each other at Duke, so now both walking across the stage at both top 10 picks is just an honor.
All right, well, thanks for your time, Wendell.
Thank you.
Reese?
And Maria, you see Wendell Carter shedding a few happy tears, and understandably so. Wendell Carter Jr. says that he plans to get his degree. He's always been a terrific student. He acted in high school as well, a very well-rounded guy that goes to the Chicago Bulls. Cleveland Cavaliers are now on the clock, the 8th overall pick. And let's check out tonight's Keys to Success, brought to you by Kia. The Cavaliers have had some success with LeBron James, but as Woj joins us again, we're not sure what the future holds for Cleveland and LeBron at the moment.
No, Cleveland's not, and they've been flying blind all season, not knowing what LeBron James will do in free agency. They're going to make their pick independent of whether they expect him to return or stay. They have been focused at the point guard position. You know, one player atop their draft board leading in today, Alabama point guard Colin Sexton. Let's see what they do here.
All right, Woj, and we'll get that pick in just a little bit. Also, you wonder about how much Michael Porter Jr. will slide. Certainly his immense talent, if the medicals hold up, could be a cornerstone type guy, or perhaps a complement to LeBron James if he stays, as Bobby Marks is back with us. So what are LeBron's real options here?
Well, you're right, Reese. He's got 4 options, and I think June 29th is going to be the big date for LeBron. He's got a $36 million player option. He can either opt in or opt out of his contract. If he opts in, one thing to pay attention to is the Chris Paul option. Remember last year, Chris Paul opted into his contract. He was eventually traded to the Clippers for a package of players. If James does opt in by June 29th, that is something to keep an eye on. He could also re-sign for Cleveland, 5 years, $205 million, or sign with a team like Philadelphia or Lakers. This is off the table, the sign and trade, if he does opt out of his contract by June 29th, just based on the hard cap restriction. But Reese, these are his 4 options, and we're going to find a lot more come June 29th.
And that will have a huge impact on what the Cavaliers choose to do. They are on the clock right now, just over 30 seconds remaining, and the pick is in. Who will Cleveland select? Let's find out right now from Adam Silver.
With the 8th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Colin Sexton from the University of Alabama.
Avery Johnson all smiles as his star guard goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Colin Sexton had one sensational season at Alabama. Helped the Crimson Tide win his first NCAA tournament game since 2006. He is extraordinarily tough and competitive, and he's the guy who raised the energy every time he stepped on the floor, and now he'll have to take that type of energy to the Cavaliers.
Well, Colin Sexton, Reese, is an aggressive, ball-dominant point guard, and you called it. He's a fierce competitor. I think he may be the most competitive player in this entire draft. He is quick. He is explosive. He is incredibly fast in the open court. When he gets downhill in transition, he is just an absolute blur. His jump shot is not quite there yet, but he's got a good middle game, and his jump shot is really improving. And he shoots 78% from the free throw line, which is a pretty good indicator that he's got the ability to get much better as a shooter. Changes speeds very well. He's got an excellent burst with the basketball, and he's very good with the basketball in his hands. A good defender. He's active for steals. He has good anticipation. Then you can see just in that highlight his open court ability. And if a 3-on-5 game breaks out, I'm taking Colin Sexton. In this building, he went 3-on-5 against Minnesota, scored 40, and almost won the game just about single-handedly. Talked about his transition ability. He's a worker. He competes, he attacks, and he's a fighter. That may be his best attribute. He will fight you start to finish.
I'll tell you a guy I had the pleasure of playing with when I was with the Clippers that he reminds me of, and that's Eric Bledsoe. Very athletic, very, very good defender. You can't keep him out of the paint. He's worked on his jump shot. He can make it from mid-range, even threes now. And I see a lot of Eric Bledsoe in Colin Sexton.
And Colin Sexton going to the Cavaliers. It's now time for Looking Ahead. Brought to you by Wells Fargo. As you see Avery hugging Colin's mother, Maria is now with the young bull, Colin Sexton.
Well, Reese, he doesn't have to change the color of his jacket because he already has the matching Cleveland colors. And 2 years ago, you were an unranked high school player. Now you're a lottery pick. What does that mean?
It just shows all my hard work paid off. I just grinded from started at the bottom and came back up to the top. That was the biggest thing, just to show people what I can do.
Make your pitch to LeBron James to stay in Cleveland with you.
Man, LeBron, let's do it. Let's do it. I see you need a few pieces, that one extra piece this past season. Hey, let's do it. Let's go back to the finals. Let's do it.
All right, LeBron, the young bull has called you out. He wants you to stay with him in Cleveland. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Maria. Colin Sexton trying to recruit LeBron James. The New York Knicks are on the clock with the 9th overall pick. They missed the playoffs for the 5th straight season. Kristaps Porzingis missed big hunk of the season with a torn ACL. I don't know when they're going to get the Unicorn back. They have a new head coach in David Fizdale, who was fired mid-season as head coach of the Grizzlies, but now perhaps going to get Spike Lee's favorite team back on track. Will Fizdale and whoever they select here. Spike is always looking at things through Knicks-colored glasses. And there we go. Is this the same family? This is the same kid who gave the thumbs down when Porzingis was drafted. I think he's come around.
The one that was crying?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's what I'm told. He said it's the same kid.
Wow.
Don't steer us wrong on that. We find him every year since then. You know, because we don't want to be the only people who have it pointed out incessantly when we're wrong about something. you have to get Porzingis healthy. That's one thing. But as you look at the Knicks here and what's left, what would be a good move for New York here?
Well, I mean, I keep looking at Michael Porter Jr. I mean, his talent level is undeniable, but if the medical's not good, I don't see why you would take him at this spot in the draft when you wouldn't take him a couple spots earlier. One guy I wouldn't overlook here is Kevin Knox from Kentucky. He's a really talented player that's a big-time scorer, and I think has been undervalued in a lot of the mock drafts that I've seen. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go higher than we've valued him, and certainly than I have. I have him rated 15th, but I could see him going anywhere from he could go now. I mean, that's how talented he is.
Jay, I like where you're going right there. One thing I tell you I like about the Knicks, one, their front office, great position with Steve Mills, Scott Perry. I love who they hired as a head coach. They're on the right path to coming back and being a very good organization. I love Knox. I really do. I think, to me, they can, any position other than Porzingis' position, you can upgrade at the spot.
Right.
They have the ability to do that. So they really can't miss right here, but they need somebody that can impact the game as we know it right now.
They took Frank Ntilikina last year with the 8th overall pick, if memory serves. Could you see them going Shai Gilgeous-Alexander here if they've decided that Ntilikina's maybe not the guy they want running the show?
Well, like I said, I think you can go any way you want to right now. Ntilikina, I think, will be a solid pro. I don't think he'll be an all-star, but very solid pro in this league. They did a good job with that, but, you know, they also brought Moutier on board. So they got a lot of point guards there that they can kind of mix and match, but any position other than Porzingis, you got to feel like it's an upgrade.
Next guy on my list is Mikal Bridges of Villanova, followed by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Well, Philadelphia's next. A lot of the mocks have had Mikal Bridges going to the 76ers, staying in the city of brotherly love. Could the Knicks swipe him here with the 9th pick?
With the 9th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the New York Knicks select Kevin Knox from the University of Kentucky.
Oh no! Oh, this is now guaranteed that Kevin Knox is going to have an all-star NBA career because the Porzingis dudes are going thumbs down. I think now they may be trying. That may just be a good luck move now.
I think it's wishful thinking. That's what they're doing. Reverse psychology.
Calipari said the teams that passed on Kevin Knox in a couple of years might regret it. He compared him to Jason Tatum in terms of the way he can mature and get better. You know, his dad was a football player. Kevin was a quarterback his freshman year. In his first play, he was sacked and decided basketball was for him.
He's very talented, Reese. He's 6'9", Kevin Knox is. He's got a 6'11", 7-foot wingspan. He's long, he's athletic, and he is a scorer. And he's an NBA caliber shooter that can pull up off the dribble. He moves very well without the ball, and he's got a really good feel from mid-range. He is an effortless shooter, even though this year he was a little bit streaky throughout the year. Shoots close to 80% from the free throw line. He was a high school quarterback in football, but I think I flipped on him completely. I thought he was a little bit sleepy earlier in the year, but he had 34 against West Virginia, was a superstar. That's when I said he's the man. He's really good.
Reminds me of one of the young, really good players in our league today, Tobias Harris. Can do it all. Long, athletic body, a great set of natural tools, can shoot it out to the three-point line, and to me, if he wants to, can be, very high potential for being a two-way player in the game. And I love his maturity on the floor for his age.
All right, Kevin Knox goes 9th overall to the Knicks. Now, dating back to his time in Memphis, John Calipari has had a player in the top 10 in the last 11 drafts Wow. Now, the Knicks fans were chanting for Michael Porter Jr. That's who they wanted. You hear him? Instead, you get a lesson in the school of hard knocks. Kevin Knox is going to New York, staying close by. He's with Maria.
Well, Kevin actually heard them saying that they want Porter, but how do you feel about that? You like that, right?
Yeah, I like that. That's motivation. A lot of the city wants Porter, but I'm ready to work. I'm ready to get to the organization and try and win some games.
All right, tell Knicks fans what they're getting in your game.
I mean, you're getting an all-around type of player. I'm very versatile. Coach Visdell is a player's coach. He's going to use me around the court. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, he loves players like me, players that really can do pretty much everything, and so I'm really looking forward to it.
Now, Kevin doesn't turn 19 until August, so you're the second youngest player available in this draft. How do you see your game growing over your career?
I think that's to an advantage of mine. I mean, I'm just going to keep getting better and better. I'm only 18. I got a lot to learn. So, I mean, I'm going to be able to play for a great coach, learn from Porzingis, learn from some other veteran guys, and it's going to keep getting me better.
All right, I think Spike Lee's in the building somewhere. You might want to go introduce yourself, young man.
Definitely got to introduce myself to Spike Lee, courtside every game.
Reese?
Spike will let him know what he wants. He's not shy on the sideline for sure. Philadelphia's on the clock. 76ers had a 24-win increase, best in the NBA. Second straight season they had the best win increase in the NBA. Ben Simmons in his first season, all-rookie team. Some said he shouldn't have really been a rookie, but he was really good when he played. Joel Embiid, all-NBA second team, ended up losing to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference semifinals, but the front office in a little bit of flux right now. Brian Colangelo resigned as team president after it was revealed that Colangelo used up to 5 secret Twitter accounts to disparage his predecessor and talk about some of the players and try to shape some public opinion. So that means that they are drafting by committee a little bit now in Philadelphia. What are the dangers of that? You've been around the NBA a long time. If you don't have a voice or if the voice changes this late in the process.
Yeah, it's tough. And that organization has made some strides, obviously trusting the process. They have some very important guys that are free agents this summer with Ilyasova, with J.J. Redick, with Bellinelli. So that wing position is a position that they need to be trying to fill with a 3-and-D guy, a guy that can make threes, play off of Joel Embiid, and play off of Ben Simmons, and can also defend on the perimeter.
Woj, what do you have on Philadelphia right now as they're sitting on the clock and with their front office in a little bit of disarray?
Well, there's a clear leader in that front office, and that's Brett Brown, their head coach, who also became the interim president of basketball operations. He's been the face of that organization, really since he took this team through that incredibly difficult rebuild. One player that Brown has loved through the process, a local player that he's been able to watch a lot, who's had a locker in their building and whose mother actually works in human resources for the organization, Mikal Bridges of Villanova, is a player that Brown himself has really targeted in this pre-draft process. We'll see what they do here.
All right, Woj, Mikal Bridges has gone there. If the Philadelphia 76ers go in that direction, how do you see him fitting with that young nucleus the Sixers have?
Well, he can shoot it. He's a very good standstill shooter with excellent range. He's a long athlete that can defend multiple positions, and he's very good in transition. He's not going to go out and get his own offense, but he's a mature player that redshirted his freshman year. So he's basically a senior now that's coming into the league, having put his time in. So he's a mature player that can blend, and he's won 2 national championships at Villanova.
Here's Jay Wright with him at his table, and Mikal was grinning as if he knows something. And as Woj said, his mom works in human resources. Maybe she has him filling out some paperwork already in the various insurance forms he don't have to fill out if he goes to work for the Sixers.
With the 10th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Mikal Bridges from Villanova University.
There's some Sixer fans in the house. Saw Mikal's mom, Tanisha Rivers, who was fired up about this pick. Since 2008, Dante DiVincenzo, his college teammate, awaiting to hear his name called. Since 2008, Bridges is the 9th 4-year college player to make it into the top 10. He continually improved. He was a 3rd-team All-American last year, as Jay mentioned, a 2-time national champion, and comes out of the culture, Jay, that you have referred to as the best in college basketball and one that would seemingly really prepare you for pro life.
Oh, he is absolutely prepared, and this is a first for Villanova basketball. This is the first time that a Villanova player has worn a nicer and more expensive suit than Jay Wright. But Mikal Bridges is a 3-and-D player. He led the all Power 5 players in efficiency this last season, an excellent perimeter shooter. He's got a high release. As a catch-and-shoot guy, one of the best in the country, but he sets himself apart as a defender and as a transition player. I mentioned his spot-up shooting, his catch-and-shoot. He made 104 threes this last year, but 95% of those were assisted, so he spots up very well. Excellent wingspan that helps make him a good defender, 7'2" wingspan, so he can guard 1 through 3. But he's not the type of player that's going to get his own shot. He's a blender that's going to fit in with other really good players. But he proved last year he can continue to get better. I really like him, especially as a person. Terrific teammate.
Jay, I'm a fan too. He reminds me a lot of Nicholas Batum. Can pretty much do it all. He defends. He can go to the basket. He can finish. Knock down the standstill jump shot, like you said. He's long. He's athletic. Don't mind taking on tough offensive players. And I think that's what they need because they're losing a lot on the wing there with Philadelphia.
So Mikal Bridges stays close to home, sensational career at Villanova, and will move down into the city. We mentioned his mother, Tanisha Rivers, is Vice President of Human Resources for the 76ers, really the group that owns the 76ers and the New Jersey Devils. And look at her reaction. I wonder if they let Mom in the draft room, let her give a little input there. Mikal is delighted and all with Maria Taylor now after the Sixers make the pick.
We've got Mom here too, Tania. We love that celebration, and there's not a better storybook ending here. I mean, what does it mean, Mikal, to be able to play in the same place where you grew up and you've watched your mom work for years?
I mean, it means the world to me, you know. Not the fact that I'm home, you know, I'm just put in a great organization, you know, great coaches, you know, I know who's going to develop me. And they, you know, they take a lot of pride in me. They took a chance at me, and I'm just happy, man. It's just a blessing.
Mom, how do you describe this moment and how it's come full circle?
It's amazing. It's an experience I'll never forget, and I'm so excited he's coming home to be part of our Sixers family. It's amazing. Go Sixers!
You say that you get choked up every time you see him running out of the locker room. Now you get to see him run out of the locker room in the arena you work in.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean?
How crazy is that? It's surreal. It's an amazing experience. I'm so excited, and I'm looking forward to it.
And for those that don't know your story, Mikal, you were a red shirt, you turned into a sixth man of the year, and then you were a captain of a national championship team. So how has your journey made you the player that you are?
It's a lot of work, man. I've been through a lot. I know different roles. You know, I came off the bench. I sat out. I started. I was a captain. I was a, star player. I've been through everything, and I mean, I don't know. I just want to thank God for this. I'm too happy for this.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
guys
much.
enjoyed this. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Reese.
Maria, Mom was tough on Mikal. When he missed a free throw, she used to make him do 10 push-ups for every missed free throw. Better make those free throws in an 82-game season. That'd be a lot of push-ups. Or said again, you know, Mikal wants to get stronger, so maybe that'll help. And Jay Wright with another national championship on his resume now as a top 10 pick and a guy that will stay in Philadelphia. Much more to come on our coverage of the draft. The #1 pick, DeAndre Ayton, will join us on the set. Also, we'll talk with Jazz star Donovan Mitchell, David Robinson, and Vince Carter. And Trae Young and Dante DiVincenzo are wired. You'll hear what their draft night is like. Back in Brooklyn, Luka Doncic making the rounds after being selected tonight, 3rd overall, part of a trade that will send him to the Dallas Mavericks. The Charlotte Hornets are on the clock with the 11th overall pick. Their selection is in, and we go back to the stage now in Adam Silver.
With the 11th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from Hamilton, Canada, and the University of Kentucky.
Second Wildcat taken tonight as John Calipari continues to have his players make it to the draft. And Gilgeous-Alexander, as the season went on last year, emerged as the leader for Kentucky. And some believe that perhaps he was as good as Trae Young, Colin Sexton, the opportunity to have a big impact in the NBA, and now he joins a Charlotte team that made its 14th lottery pick in the last 15 seasons. What are they getting in Gilgeous-Alexander?
Well, they're getting a guy with excellent size. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is over 6'6". He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He's an excellent defender that I think shows very good toughness. He proved to be a good pick-and-roll ball handler toward the end of the season with a capable jump shot. He's a penetrating guard that can put the ball on the deck and get to the basket, and was especially good Reese's last 10 games. Over his last 10 with Kentucky, averaged over 19 points per game, shot over 50% from 3 and 85% from the free throw line with just under 7 assists per game. So he continued to get better and better, but with his physical profile, the fact that he can play the point, he can handle it, and he can guard multiple positions and be a disruptive defender. And he's also a high character guy. He's a great kid, a Canadian kid that came in. He was on the bench and came off the bench early behind Quade Green and then became a starter and their best player at the end of the year.
Guys, the guy that he reminded me of coming out of college is Michael Carter-Williams. Guy with great size, played the point, was actually the rookie of the year in the NBA. He's fallen off a little bit, probably working on his game, but reminds me a lot of Gilgeous-Alexander.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going to Charlotte. He's the 11th overall pick, going to Charlotte and trying to lift them as the Hornets try to get their fortunes going in the right direction under the leadership of Michael Jordan. They have James Borrego as the coach, Mitch Kupchak now the GM, and 2 times in the last 3 picks we've heard CATS, cats being called. Kevin Knox going to the Knicks, and now his teammate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on his way to Charlotte. There is John Calipari, who's proud of his night. Okay, we are hearing right now that perhaps Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, just chosen by Charlotte, that this pick might be on the move right now as we check in with Woj. Woj, what are you hearing?
Yeah, Charlotte has agreed to a deal to send Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to the Clippers. The Clippers will send Charlotte back the 12th pick, the next pick of the draft, and 2 future second-round picks. The Clippers had been focused on getting a point guard out of this draft. They get the Kentucky point guard, and they'll still be able to draft 13th here in the first round.
So still a couple of lottery picks for the Clippers, and now they're going to get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, assuming that trade goes through, and the Kentucky point guard, who perhaps is not going to be on the East Coast, but rather headed west, is with Maria.
You're right, Reese, and Shai did say that his agent told him before he went on stage that he would be going to the Clippers. So what was your reaction to hearing that you'd be heading to the West Coast?
It's a great feeling, honestly, but being able to play in the NBA in itself is a blessing and something that not a lot of kids get to experience, and me being one of them is an amazing feeling.
Well, congratulations, Shai. Enjoy this.
Thank you.
All right, Shai, Maria, thank you very much. Mike Schmitz has been of the opinion that of all of the guards in the draft, that this is the guy you would have taken ahead of Young, ahead of Colin Sexton. Why?
The Clippers got the best point guard in the draft. 6'6", 7-foot wingspan, versatile defender. He's going to be able to guard 1s and 2s and eventually 3s. Has an outstanding feel for the game. Slithery and pick and roll. He's a finesse finisher. He's what teams are looking for in terms of feel, in terms of length and physicality. I really like what he's become. Originally committed to Florida, ended up at Kentucky. Like you said, Reese, wasn't a starter. He's really a self-made guy, and just a major win for the Clippers getting him at 11.
Okay, so you can keep up here, though the Clippers are on the clock right now. They're going to get Gilgeous-Alexander once the trade moves from being proposed into being official. It has to be approved by NBA legal, and now the Clippers are on the clock, and Woj just told us that this pick is going to be the one that winds up going to Charlotte instead. So to put it back in perspective, Gilgeous-Alexander fitting in with what the Clippers have right now. How do you like the pick?
I love it. I love it. I mean, you're getting a chance and an opportunity to play for Doc Rivers, who's one of the best coaches we have in our league. A few things I love about this kid. He makes his teammates better. And as a point guard, that's what you always want. Communicates well with his teammates, and he's just his size. He can affect both ends of the floor with his length, and he's a pesky defender. Love so much about him, and Smith is right. He could end up being the best point guard of the 3.
And the newest member of the Von Trapp family singers.
I don't know about that suit he got on. I don't know about that suit.
Somewhere there are curtains missing.
Yes. Okay, so now the pick is in. Clippers making it for the Hornets. Adam Silver coming back to the mic.
With the 12th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the LA Clippers select Miles Bridges from Michigan State University.
He's going to Charlotte.
So Miles Bridges, the latest great basketball player to come from Flint Town, as Tom Izzo has another Spartan selected tonight, the second Michigan State player that has been picked in the lottery. Bridges left Flint Southwestern High School for Huntington Prep. His mom wanted him to go pro last year, but during his first year at Michigan State, he was alone in the basketball building, or so he thought. And some of the staff heard him walking through going, "I love this place." So he stuck around for a second year on the banks of the Old Red Cedar, had a good season, and now he's off to the NBA. Clippers selecting him, but this pick is going to Charlotte.
A powerful athlete. Miles Bridges is a lefty, super athletic, above the rim four-man. He's a wrecking ball in transition, a good shooter with his feet set. He's got an excellent shot fake and a very good rebounder, especially for his size. He excelled at Michigan State at the 4 spot, wound up with Jaren Jackson Jr. coming in this last year as a freshman, wound up moving to the 3. His rebounding is excellent at both ends of the floor. A very good offensive rebounder, a very good defensive rebounder. Averages over 8 rebounds per game for his career, and he can get up over people. But his strength is as a finisher because he is such a great athlete. Maybe the best dunker in this draft. A solid defender, and can defend bigger people, can defend on the perimeter, and zero ego. Another great kid in this draft.
Reminds me of a guy I competed against for a long time, the Matrix, Sean Marion. Get off the floor really quick, but I love, like you said, I love his size. Combination of size, quickness, athleticism, and power. Competes on both ends, unafraid of contact. I love what he's going to be able to do, and I don't know where he's going to be. If it's going to be the Hornets or it's going to be the Clippers. But whoever it is going to love coaching this kid.
Here's a proposed trade to the Hornets. Expected that it will go through, assuming that it does. Miles Bridges will be on his way to Charlotte. Right now, he's on his way to visit with Maria.
Yeah, he's got his Clippers hat on, but with that proposed trade, you could be a Hornet. Now, you didn't work out for Charlotte this season?
No, but I love the city of Charlotte. I know a lot of guys there, so I feel like it'll be great for me.
So your mom wanted you to go pro a season ago. You waited to go this year, and you're still a lottery pick. What does it mean to be walking across that stage?
Man, it's just a blessing to be here. I give all the glory to God, all the thanks to my mom. A shout out to Flint. I'm just blessed to be here.
And you're here with Coach Izzo, and what has he done for your game, and how will that make you an even better pro moving forward?
Coach Izzo, he just pushed me every day. He wanted me to be the best player, and I give all the grace to him, to God, everybody.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Shout out to Flint. Gotta like that skyline of Flint tattooed on Miles' back. Then this trade, we are told, is now official. That the Clippers will get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the 11th pick. The Hornets will get the draft rights to Miles Bridges, the 12th pick. And the Clippers are back on the clock right now with the 13th pick in the draft. 13th pick in the draft last year turned out to be the best rookie. It was Donovan Mitchell who wound up going to Utah and was sensational. We'll visit with Donovan and see who the 13th pick in this year's draft will be. Back here in Brooklyn Barclays Center for the NBA Draft. Our next WNBA matchup on ESPN2 Friday 10 Eastern, 7 on the West Coast. Tina Charles and the Liberty taking on A'ja Wilson and the Aces. You can watch it live on the ESPN app anywhere you are. Clippers have their second lottery pick. Let's go to the commissioner.
With the 13th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the LA Clippers select Jerome Robinson from Boston College.
Jerome Robinson, the high-scoring BC Eagle, is the first Boston College player ever taken in the lottery. Lottery started in 1985, and he is on his way to the Clippers after having just a sensational season, first-team all-conference performer in the ACC. Grew up in Raleigh, a fan of the Tar Heels, and then spent his career bedeviling not only the Tar Heels, but pretty much everybody in the ACC, Jay.
Jerome Robinson, it may be the most complete offensive player in this NBA draft. He's a versatile scorer, very quick with the ball. He's got a high release on his jumper, and he's got a good mid-range game. He can shoot it from three, and he's very good off the bounce. Another guy that's got an excellent shot fake to keep defenders off balance, and he's a very good pick-and-roll ball handler. Now, he's got to improve as a defender. He doesn't have the greatest lateral quickness, but he should be a very good player at the NBA level in time. Offensively, he's really special. 91st percentile in the half court. He was second in the ACC in scoring. Just got a great feel and just automatic pulling up off the dribble. An excellent offensive player and a great kid.
Jerome Robinson, 13th overall to the Los Angeles Clippers. It's now time for Looking Ahead, brought to you by Wells Fargo. Here's Maria with Jerome Robinson.
You know, Reese, it's interesting that Jerome's going out to the Clippers because last summer you spent 7 weeks in LA training and you felt as though that was a turning point in your game. Take me back to that moment and how it's helped you make it to this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I think it really changed my life, and going out there and preparing against some of the best competition in the country, against professionals and guys that were in pre-draft. I knew leaving there that I would be in a situation like this 12 months later.
All right, you led the ACC in scoring. You definitely put everyone on notice. But for those who haven't seen your game, describe what it is.
Yeah, just a great overall player. Somebody that can score at all three levels, play multiple positions, and play make as well. It's going to be exciting. Yeah.
I saw how excited you were with the handshake with the commissioner. I mean, just put into words what it means to be in this moment.
It's something you can't put into words. It's crazy. It's an unreal feeling, and I'm very excited.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy this moment.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Maria, Jerome, thank you very much. The Nuggets are on the clock. They have the last pick in the lottery, and a man that we thought perhaps a year ago would be the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft, Michael Porter Jr. out of Missouri. You see what he did in high school. He was the MVP of the 2017 McDonald's All-American game. But at Missouri was hurt a couple of minutes into his first game. Only played a couple of minutes at the end of the season, a grand total of 53 minutes. And there have been questions about just how healthy he is and what the prognosis is for Michael Porter Jr. as it pertains to health. Woj is back with us now. Woj, what's happening with Michael Porter Jr.? I know this has been a long night for him so far.
Yeah, and Denver is his best chance to get, it's his final chance to be a lottery pick. They have been poring over medical information all day in Denver. Their president of basketball operations, Tim Connolly, Arturas Karnisovas, their general manager, they expected the possibility of Porter would get down to them. He's there now, and they've got a real difficult decision to make. What intrigued them all along, tremendous upside talent. It could be a value for them at 14. We'll find out.
And Woj, Denver for the last 2 years has been 9th in the West, just missing the playoffs. They won 46 games last year and didn't make the playoffs. Need a guy that can get them over the hump. Of course, everything depends on the medical. If Denver does decide that they are willing to take that risk and Porter can be something close to his potential, what does this do for Denver?
I think it does a lot for Denver. If they even feel any way possible that he can get back to 100%, he's worth the gamble. I mean, Denver has put together a fantastic young team. I think the 3 spot where I see Michael Porter Jr. being there is where Wilson Chandler plays. That's an area where they could use him at. Great shooter, can make plays, and if he's healthy, could very well be the best player in this entire draft, Jay.
He may be the best offensive player among the big guys because he is the best shooter among big guys, and he's got the offensive ability of a number 1 overall pick. He may have been the number 1 overall pick if the draft were held a year ago when he was coming out of high school. But if his medical isn't right, and if he's unable to play, I'm not sure it matters whether he's taken 14, 20, 16, 2, whatever it is. You can still get value at 14. You'd better be sure that he's going to be able to play even at 14 to make sure there's value, even though he'd be a steal at 14 if he's healthy.
But Jay, what if he can't play this season? Similar to a Embiid situation. Does he
That's
have
fine.
the kind of talent that you can gamble on?
Yes. I mean, but that's the thing. If long-term he's going to be healthy, sitting out a year doesn't mean anything. Would you take him as a sophomore if you could get him now and he sat out a year? Of course you would.
Absolutely.
But the question is his long-term health. And that's sort of the issue, because if it becomes like, say, just for argument's sake, it became some kind of Greg Oden situation, he couldn't play, then you're going, wait a minute, we wasted the 14th pick. And you can still get somebody. There's some good players available at 14, maybe not as good, not as talented as Michael.
There's Michael Porter Jr. Adrian Wojnarowski reported yesterday that, you know, they were playing with some of the medical records, keeping them close to the vest. There were some that believed that maybe the medicals didn't look as daunting as Joel Embiid's. And you look at Embiid now and the way he's playing, but as several have pointed out, he did miss a couple of years, and that's not necessarily a chance that you always want to take if you're afraid that's going to be the situation with a guy that you're taking 14th overall.
Yeah, it can be tough, but you also look at a guy like Lonnie Walker, you know, when you're talking about Denver. You know, I trust what they've done. I mean, Tim Connolly and Arturas, they've done a terrific job of drafting young talent, not just overseas and Europe guys, but guys here too. You know, with Gary Harris there last year, I trust what they'll be able to do. I'm interested to see, because they're a team that, in my opinion, is really ascending in that Western Conference.
All right, so Denver, the clock has expired. We'll find out what they're going to do coming up in just a little bit. There's Lonnie Walker IV, the explosive wing guard out of the University of Miami. Lonnie had to deal with some injuries in the early part of the season. Took him a little while during the college season to get up to speed. Dante DiVincenzo checking his mentions, as is everyone else. Hey, you guys talk to each other. Be in the moment every now and then. Dante, the most outstanding player in the Final Four of the national champion Villanova Wildcats.
Another good player, Zaire Smith of Texas Tech, who's one of the most athletic players, if not the most athletic in this draft. Aaron Holiday of UCLA is available. So there are talented players available in the middle of this first round. And look, you're not going to get anybody with bigger upside than Michael Porter Jr. It all comes down to whether he can play and whether he's going to be healthy long term.
And I think the benefit, you know, to be honest with you, when you're Denver, you got a lot of good young pieces. You don't have to draft the best talent there. You draft what you need.
Right.
You know, and to me, they could use some guys on the wing. They don't need a point guard. I think we all love Jamal Murray there. So you're in a good position if you're the Denver Nuggets.
You had a look at Zaire Smith. There's Aaron Holiday, who has brothers who play in the NBA. Will Aaron's name be called next? Will it be Michael Porter Jr.? Nuggets, the pick is in. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 14th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Michael Porter Jr. from the University of Missouri.
All smiles now, because once you're selected, the goal is just to produce. He'll have that opportunity, and we hope certainly that he's at full health. As you probably know, lower back surgery in late November. At that time, prior to the surgery, he was listed by our Jonathan Givony as the second overall pick. Didn't win in either game when he came back at the end of the season, as Missouri was beaten in the SEC tournament by Georgia and then lost the first game of the NCAA tournament. But Michael Porter Jr., an immense talent, and now Denver at 14, figure he might as well spin that wheel of fortune.
Well, I do think we're right in saying that he has the ability on the offensive end of a #1 overall pick. He's a very gifted athlete, very fluid at 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan, and very skilled. But where he really excels is shooting the basketball. A very high release. He can elevate on his shot. He picks and pops to three-point range. He does have the ability to defend with his wingspan and athleticism. There have been questions about his toughness. Obviously, we've talked about his health. At 14, you're never going to get a player of this caliber unless there are question marks, and the question mark being his back and his health long term. But if the Nuggets have satisfied themselves that that's not a problem, they very well could have gotten a steal here.
And listen, guys, I'm going to assume that he's healthy, and if he is, it reminds me of a young Kevin Durant. I mean, great length, beautiful jump shot, can score off of the dribble. You put him in the mid-post area or the elbow area, he's a nightmare to guard, and he has a passion to score the basketball, similar to KD.
Boy, you just had to really give it to those poor fans in Seattle by showing KD in the Seattle uniform, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Michael Porter Jr. on his way to Denver, and he's with Maria.
You know, Michael, you described your playing career as riding the elevator until your injury, and then you had to take the stairs. So describe what it's like to get through all of that adversity and make it to this stage still as a lottery pick.
Man, all I can say is it's a blessing. You know, I'm not entitled to this. Everything's a blessing, and I'm so excited. You know, my path was different, a little different than everybody else's, but I'm going to make sure that this pick is this organization's best pick they've ever made.
You said one of the big questions that you had to answer throughout the draft process was, will you be able to have a long playing career? How would you address that question right now?
I have no concerns, man. I'm just happy to be with the team that, you know, believes in me. You know, like I said, I don't feel entitled to this. It's a blessing. I'm happy to be a Denver Nugget.
All right, so anyone who hasn't seen your game, describe it for them.
You know, I'm a player, you know, that can do it all. I think when I'm on the floor, you always have a chance to win. I'll never disappear on the floor. And, you know, I'm a winner, and I'm gonna help this team win.
Is it your expectation to play next season and in Summer League?
That's my expectation. You know, I'm feeling good, and, you know, it's just giving me extra pep in my step, so I'm feeling good.
All right, well, congratulations. All smiles down here now, Reese.
And Maria, that's good to see. Coming up after the break, #1 overall pick DeAndre Ayton will join us when his team, the Suns, picks again. The Wizards are on the clock. 15th pick when you come back.
With the first pick, the Phoenix Suns select DeAndre Ayton. The Sacramento Kings select Marvin Bagley III. The Atlanta Hawks select Luka Doncic. The Memphis Grizzlies select Jaren Jackson Jr. The Dallas Mavericks select Trae Young.
He's good.
The lottery is now complete, but you don't have to pick in the lottery to get a gem. Since 2010, Eric Bledsoe was picked 18th overall. Avery Bradley, 19th by the Celtics. He's had a sensational career. Kawhi Leonard, about whom you will hear much more throughout the rest of the summer until he makes a decision. Jimmy Butler barely made it into the first round. The Greek Freak was 15th overall, and that's where we are in the draft now. Rudy Gobert barely in the first round. Kyle Kuzma, after his draft combine sensational performance last year, was the second highest scoring rookie in the NBA last year for the Lakers. Aaron Holiday from UCLA. Brothers Justin and Drew both play in the NBA, and Aaron had a great year for UCLA a season ago. Billups has been high on him. Would the Suns take him at 16? And behind whoever's standing in front of my camera, move, dude, I'm trying to see Dante DiVincenzo. There we go. Dante, the most outstanding player in the Final Four. Look, this guy has an exceptional vertical leap. He's not just a standstill shooter. I think he could be a gem in this second half of the first round. Wizards have a pick now. Adam Silver on the way.
We have another trade to announce. The Charlotte Hornets trade the draft rights to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the 11th pick, to the LA Clippers for the draft rights to Miles Bridges, the 12th pick, and 2 future second-round picks. And with the 15th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Troy Brown Jr. from the University of Oregon.
Troy Brown, not here tonight, but an all-freshman team, honorable mention player in the Pac-12 this past season, JB.
Troy Brown Jr. is another guy who is long arms, 6'10 and a half wingspan. He's really versatile. He can do it all. He knows how to play, a very good skill level. He passes it well. More of a right-hand driver that's pretty good in pick and rolls. He improved his shooting throughout the course of the season under Dana Altman, and a solid defender. I wouldn't call him super athletic on the NBA level, but a good athlete. And he needs to improve his efficiency, but his versatility is really his calling card. He does everything pretty well.
To me, he reminds me a lot of Andre Iguodala, Swiss Army knife. Can do it all out there. Is not going to be a high-volume shooter. Will defend, will make other guys better. I think this is a very good pickup for this team.
Troy Brown Jr. played point guard until his senior year in high school, had a growth spurt, got to improve that shooting, but certainly a coveted player and 15th overall pick by the Wizards. The Phoenix Suns, who had the #1 overall pick, are back on the clock with number 16. It was the worst kept secret in all of basketball that DeAndre Ayton was going to be the #1 pick in the draft. Even though you knew it was going to happen, DeAndre, what was it like in the moments right before your name was called?
I mean, once the commissioner came up to the podium, I already knew, like, okay, this is about to happen. Whatever happens, happens. And as soon, I mean, he didn't hold it back. He just said, you know, he said what he had to say, and he called my name right away. I looked at my mom. I saw my auntie's reaction. I just knew it was like, okay, it's there. Hugged them. They tried my best to keep my emotions to myself. And when I shook his hand, that's when all my emotions started to kick in. And I just tried my best to hold it in as much as possible. But I was really proud, and dreams do come true.
Do you think of yourself as an emotional guy, usually?
I mean, yeah, I mean, not really, but, you know, today is my night. Today's our night, and, you know, hard work really pays off, and, you know, this is what success means. But, you know, once we we're in the NBA now, and our hard work has just begun.
All right, now, some people think that once you get drafted that your work is over, except for maybe stopping by to see us. That's not at all how it's been. You gave the #1 signal, and then you were off to be pretty busy from that point forward, right? What's it been like since then?
I mean, it really took my mind from this night, and, you know, it really got me going on how the NBA works. You know, it's a lot of media, a lot of exposure, and, you know, you always got, no matter if you don't want to do it, you want to do it, you still have to do it. You know, that's your job now. It's a part of your life, and, you know, I learned that, and I learned how to, you know, speak more proper, and, you know, just really have the best attitude possible.
First of all, congratulations, young pup. They're going to be calling you Rook, so get used to it. But I'll say this, I've seen the picture of you and your mother right there. I've heard you a lot talk about your relationship with your mom, what you want to do for your country. Talk about a couple of those things you want to do for your family.
You know, through college, there was a lot of stuff going on. And, you know, her and I, we really went through it, you know, especially the false information. And, you know, we really tried to ignore the noise. You know, she's a prayer warrior. She prays a lot. You know, I'm playing on the court, and she's keeping faith. And, you know, back home, I'm representing the whole nation. You know, in my jacket, I have Nigeria, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. I'm not only a Bahamian, but I'm also Nigerian and Jamaican. I'm representing the whole Caribbean, and I just want to be the best role model possible. And I want to give back and do all the camps, do stuff that those players that came to the Bahamas, how they inspired me. I want to do the same as well.
That's right. That's right.
You know, DeAndre, we talk a lot about the new NBA being a perimeter-oriented game. Do you think with your skill set, your size, your athleticism, that you can be a dominant big man and take the NBA a little bit more toward the big guys again?
Most definitely, you know, but I'm never going to change the game to where I have to come outside and fall in love with the jumper. I just want to stay down low and, you know, be as dominant as possible in the game, in every game, to stay down low and then stretch the floor later on in the game. Like my coach used to say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, I want to stay down there, be dominant, especially on the glass, and be the best two-way player I can possible.
What do you think, DeAndre, about the maybe some mild criticism saying, well, does he block enough shots? Do you see yourself as being an elite rim protector in the NBA?
Most definitely. I haven't had the exposure in college to really guard big men, or, you know, the big men that I guard haven't really touched the ball or really did what they're supposed to do. I mean, I've guarded a lot of guards. Coach Miller really can really slide my feet, so I've been guarding guards for the whole season, so I really haven't had that experience and exposure to really be down low all the time. You know, Dusan Ristic had down low, and I had the perimeter. So, I mean, I'm sure Coach Igor would really teach me how to do verticality and all those type of things.
DeAndre, we're going to take a look at the depth chart in Phoenix right now, and the Suns are on the clock. Has Ryan McDonough called you to ask who you would like for him to pick to play with you right now?
No, it's going to be a surprise, just like how it was a surprise to me.
Do you have a suggestion?
I mean, I don't know who's up right now. So, I mean, Aaron Holiday. Has he been picked
Aaron
up?
Holiday's still available.
I mean, he's a great point guard. I would love to play with Aaron Holiday. He's very smart. He took over UCLA. Playing against him, he's so vocal. He's such a leader, and he's a point guard, but he's one of those old school point guards to where, like, yo, I want you to do this and this and this, and he's also showing that as well.
We're waiting on the pick to come in, and I briefly told the story of your dad taking you to work with him when you were a kid, and you lasted a week, and you got enough money to go to basketball camp? Yep. You think that investment has paid off pretty well?
That was the best investment I've ever had. You know, I didn't want to go at first. My mom wanted me out the house. She's like, you need to go work with Dad to register for this camp. And here I am today. That camp really opened up the biggest opportunity for me.
So what do you anticipate? What goals have you set for yourself in the rookie season?
Really just listening to every veteran as possible, guys who came before me, having the most respect for them, and bring the best work ethic and bring my work ethic to the next level. College is another thing, but this is a grown man's game, and there's a lot of superstars in this game, and I need to learn the tricks and trades and be under a veteran's wing and really know this game to the best.
Well, to be a veteran, you need to be able to handle the media, as you said. So the pick's in. How about if you throw it to Commissioner Silver now and find out who your teammate's going to be?
I don't know.
All you got to do is say the pick is in. Here's Commissioner Silver.
Hopefully it's Aaron Holiday.
All right. Here we go. Let's see if DeAndre's right.
With the 16th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Zaire Smith from Texas Tech University.
Wow.
Defensive player.
Okay. You see DeAndre nodding. Zaire Smith is a very explosive player out of Texas Tech, but we are hearing that this pick is going to move from Phoenix and go to Philadelphia with the 76ers. That's what we're hearing right now. Let's check in with Woj. Woj, you have some details on this?
Guys, Philadelphia has traded the rights of Mikal Bridges to the Phoenix Suns for Zaire Smith, who's the 16th pick in the draft. The Suns will also send a 2021 first-round pick that they have from the Miami Heat to Philadelphia. So Mikal Bridges, who grew up dreaming of playing for the Sixers, mom works for the Sixers, he'll go to the Suns now.
All right, Woj, so after that feel-good moment, it seemed, Mikal Bridges apparently on his way to Phoenix. Take a look at Mountain Dew Kickstart Rising Star Zaire Smith out of Texas Tech.
Zaire Smith was not a highly recruited player. He wasn't a top 50 guy, but he is a world-class athlete. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's got a near 6'10" wingspan. He's got a 42-inch vertical and really stands out as a defender. An excellent offensive rebounder. You ask any coach in the Big 12, and they will tell you best athlete in the league by far and the most difficult to block out, and a really hard-working young man.
Now here's a guy who I compare him to, Avery Bradley. You talk about defensive pressure, picking up the ball full court, turn the guy 2 or 3 times, but being able to make athletic plays on the other end of the floor too, and having a good mid-range jump shot.
Okay, so Zaire Smith, drafted by the Suns, apparently on his way to Philadelphia, is with Maria.
All right, Zaire, you had 2 workouts with the 76ers. So what have they told you about your potential role that you could play?
They really like me. They really like my game. The coach said it was interesting, and I look forward to seeing what happens.
Your entire story is interesting. You are the first non-ESPN 100 recruit to make it into the first round. So what does your story mean, or what have you learned from this journey you've been on?
As long as you keep working hard, good things going to happen. I put hours and hours in the gym, and it paid off.
A year ago, your whole thought was, I'll be playing my sophomore year at Texas Tech. I mean, what does it mean now to know that you're about to be a pro?
Man, that's crazy. I thought I was about to go in another year, probably dominate, but it's crazy. A dream come true.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maria, Zaire, thank you very much. DeAndre Ayton, the Suns' #1 overall pick, is with us. And DeAndre, you were sitting here when Woj broke the news that the proposed trade would send Mikal Bridges to be your teammate in Phoenix. What have you seen of Mikal? What do you think?
Most definitely a winner. 2-time champion, great shooter, long and athletic. I've been watching him since Battle for Atlantis, what those guys been doing up there as a team. And I'll say he's the threat. Being so long and really stretch out the floor like that is just really crazy. And the way how he shoots the ball at that with his size is amazing. It's really deadly.
Well, we congratulate you. What a great night for you and your family. We wish you all the best in your first season and your entire career with the Suns.
Thank you so much. Man. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being with us. #1 overall pick in the draft. Big fella from Arizona staying in the desert. Still to come on our coverage, not far away from the Spurs being on the clock. They've got all kinds of drama with Kawhi. David Robinson and Vince Carter will join us for interviews. Trae Young, Dante DiVincenzo wired, and the Bucks are on the clock. Welcome back to the NBA Draft 2018, presented by State Farm. 17th pick on the clock. That is the Milwaukee Bucks. Here is what has happened in this NBA Draft up to this point. Phoenix Suns, for the first time in franchise history, had the #1 overall pick. They took DeAndre Ayton out of Arizona as expected. DeAndre was just with us here on the set. What an engaging young man. And he's gargantuan, too. Until you're beside him, I don't know if you can fathom just how big this dude is. Dallas made a deal with Atlanta. They got the guy they coveted, and Luka Doncic. Doncic just off a championship in the Spanish League and also a EuroLeague championship. Perhaps the most accomplished international player ever to be selected in the lottery. And then Trae Young on his way to Atlanta as the pick was made by Dallas and sent to Atlanta. The nation's leading scorer will ply his trade with the Hawks. And Michael Porter Jr., amidst concerns about his medical condition coming off back surgery at Missouri, went to the very last slot in the lottery, and the Denver Nuggets took him with the 14th overall pick. And now the Bucks, needing someone to go with the Greek Freak, had a fine season this year. Let's see who the Bucks take at number 17. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 17th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Dante DiVincenzo from Villanova University.
The most outstanding player of the Final Four of the national champions of Jay Wright, Dante DiVincenzo, sophomore guard from Villanova, had 31 points in the championship game. No one from a winning team had had more since the field expanded. Danny Manning put up 31. Glenn Rice put up 31, just as DiVincenzo did. They call him the Big Ragu, and he is a big leaper in addition to being a tremendous shooter. As we take a look at one of the Mountain Dew Kickstart Rising Stars, they call him the Michael Jordan of Delaware, right, Billis? Dante DiVincenzo.
Well, they should call him the Michael Jordan of Delaware. You mentioned how he can jump. A 42-inch vertical measured at the Combine. And the Combine was where he really popped and really stood out. In addition to that, tremendous performance in the NCAA title game against Michigan. Dante DiVincenzo averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists for Villanova last year. He shot over 40% from three-point range as a sixth man, coming off the bench and filling in wherever it was necessary. He's got a very good mind for the game. He is terrifically athletic, solid in pick-and-roll situations, and he can shoot it. Catch and shoot or pull up. And we've seen him rise to the occasion in the biggest games and on the biggest stages. But I thought where he showed his competitiveness was at the Combine. Had a great first day when a lot of people said, hey, you need to shut it down, don't play the second day. He said, no, I'm playing. I came here to play, I'm playing. Played even better the second day.
First of all, guys, I think this is a great pick by the Bucks. It's something that they need, but he reminds me of a guy that I played against at the end of my career a little bit, and that is Tyler Johnson. Gets up off of the floor, very athletic, can defend, plays really hard every single game. I'm very, very impressed with this pick because I think they need it.
You step in here, too, you got a guy that doesn't necessarily have to have the ball all the time. I mentioned his sensational performance against Michigan in the national championship game. Since 1980, you see the names John Morton of Seton Hall lost in that championship game to Glenn Rice in Michigan. So DiVincenzo's championship game performance, one for the ages since 1980. Only Morton has scored more points. There's Jay Wright, Dante's dad. I'm sure Jay thought that he was going to have Dante around for another year, but he is now with Maria Taylor and on his way to the Bucks.
Well, you know, Dante, last time we saw you on a stage, you were receiving the trophy for the most outstanding player in the Final Four. So how does that moment compare to shaking the commissioner's hand?
That was unbelievable. That was the connection and bond that I shared with my teammates. And this is, they set me up to be here. Coach Wright set me up to be here, and it's just a blessing to be in this position right now.
How much time have you spent around the Bucks organization, and what do you know about the role they want you to play there?
I got to visit there. I got to sit down with the whole front office and the coaches, and I really loved it. I really loved it. We talked for a very long time. Some of the players were there working out, so I got to talk to them, and it's just going to be a great feeling once I get there.
Have you talked to Giannis at all?
I have not. I have not talked to Giannis. He was at my pro day, though, so.
Okay, so he's on like American food tour. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to throw out a food stuff for him to try and eat. What would it be?
I got to tell him to try my mom's homemade pasta. I got to bring that for him.
Of course, the Big Ragu would say that. Of course. Reese, Dante, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Here's Dante's mom. Make a little pasta. You can send some up this way at any time if you'd like to as well. So Dante DiVincenzo going to Milwaukee, and that puts the San Antonio Spurs on the clock. And the Spurs are in the midst right now of a ton of drama with Kawhi Leonard. Has it been an untenable situation after the two sides have gotten sideways over Leonard and his injury? Here's a timeline just to remind you of what happened last September. A quad injury, missed 27 games, also suffered a partial tear in his shoulder. Now the Spurs doctors cleared him to play, but Leonard wanted a second opinion, went to some doctors outside the team, and ultimately did not play the rest of the season. Regular season and postseason, wound up playing in just 9 games for the Spurs, and then the word came that perhaps Leonard wanted out of San Antonio, despite the fact that that's going to cost him some significant money if he doesn't go back in terms of the max contract that he can sign. Can become a free agent after this upcoming season. Greg Popovich, as has been well reported, wants to meet face-to-face with Kawhi to see where these two sides are. And one of the things that's unusual about this from San Antonio's standpoint, this franchise has long been the picture of stability with its stars, whether it was David Robinson or Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. And it seems pretty unusual now to have a guy who is ready to assume that torch to perhaps want out.
One thing you alluded to is all of those stars, David Robinson, Duncan, Kawhi now, Manu, Parker, they were all drafted as Spurs. They weren't free agents. It's not a free agent destination, if you will. So it's tough to get that kind of talent in that city for that organization. So you want to try to work it out as best you can with a guy who was my favorite player in the league, actually, when he's healthy. So you try all you can do to try to keep that and mend that relationship.
And as you mentioned, Kawhi, Parker, Ginobili, all were drafted by San Antonio outside the lottery. Mm-hmm. Obviously Duncan and Robinson were #1 picks, but they've gotten good value over the years. They've been very intelligent drafting and finding the right player for them outside the lottery. And then they've got another one right here.
And mainly because of their player development. I mean, the player development system that they have, they're probably the best in our league. I mean, nobody thought that Manu and Tony Parker would be Hall of Famers coming in late picks like that in the draft, but they've made them Hall of Famers, Coach Popovich and his crew.
The Spurs don't know exactly whether they're planning for their future, at least not publicly, whether it would be without Kawhi or with him, and whether we get an indication of their plans from this pick remains to be seen. Here's the commissioner.
With the 18th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Lonnie Walker IV from the University of Miami.
Lonnie Walker IV on his way to San Antonio. Receive the embrace with his dad. Lonnie's dad, when he was a kid, made him read for an hour every day before he could go out and play. This is a guy with a lot of interest, loves the Discovery Channel and Animal Planet. And when Jim Larrañaga was recruiting him, as you see him hugging Jim Larrañaga there, sometimes they would talk about why Jaguars were able to catch ostriches when they should have been able to. It wasn't always basketball with Lonnie. I did several of his games. Really engaging young man and a terrific athlete and player. He showed some of that athleticism, particularly after he got healthy. Time for looking ahead with Lonnie Walker here, Jay.
And you mentioned how he got healthy. Last summer, Lonnie Walker tore his meniscus, and then he tweaked it again this last year at Miami. But he's an elite athlete with elite length. A little bit of a streaky shooter, but hit 3 or 4 game winners this year for the Hurricanes, especially toward the end of the year. He's got a ton of potential. Shoots 35% from 3, knocks down 75% of his free throws, so he can make shots. I think he needs to improve his handle and his consistency. But you mentioned it, Reese. He's a terrific kid. But he's got an NBA body. He's got form on his jumper. The question is his defense and his handle. If he improves there, he could be a steal in this draft in San Antonio.
Jay, he reminds me of a young D. Wade. I mean, excellent, solid body, strength, has an unbelievable set of God-given tools. Can score at all 3 levels on the basketball court, and he has potential to develop into a wing defender with that athleticism.
Lonnie Walker IV has been an inspiration to people in his hometown of Reading, Pennsylvania. He sent a letter to his hometown and fans thanking them for helping him prepare for his freshman season at Miami. He thanked Reading High School, where he led them to their first state title, and told young kids there to continue to work on your skill regardless of whether it's basketball, art, chemistry, whatever it was, and to believe in yourself. Look at me, he said. I'm just a kid from Reading, and there's a watch party in Reading, PA, and this is the moment that they've waited on to see where their hometown hero, Lonnie Walker IV, would wind up, and he's going to a great situation in San Antonio. It's time for Lonnie Walker IV to look ahead, and it's brought to you by Wells Fargo. Maria is with the newest Spur.
Well, there's a watch party in Reading, PA. There's a welcome party here as Lonnie Walker joins the Spurs. The Admiral's here, so welcome him.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the Spurs.
All right,
welcome to the family.
Let's start, though, with the watch party and what it means for you, because you could have easily left Reading, PA, and gone to a different school, but you decided to stay, Lonnie. Why was it so important to you?
It's just so important because at the end of the day, it's bigger than basketball. You know, I got the opportunity to create my message through basketball and, you know, got to motivate the youth. You know, just like anything, I'm just a kid from Reading.
What do you feel like you would like Lonnie to know about the organization that he's joining right now?
Yeah, no, the great thing is that they will take good care of you. And Pop is a guy you got to just trust. He'll put you in a position where you can be successful. And you're going to thrive there. You're going to love it. Good group of guys, and they're going to support you.
Now I want you to tell this guy what he can expect from your play, because it is his organization now. He's going to be watching you closely. What are the expectations he should have for you?
You just expect hard work, dedication. You know, day in and day out, I'm always going to progress as a man on and off the court. And, you know, sooner or later, that name's going to get bigger and we're going to shock the world. Absolutely.
Now, we know, Lonnie, that you love all things National Geographic. You are a worldly man and you love psychology. So put this moment into words for you.
It's extravagant. You know, I truly can't put this feeling as of right now, but man, I can only thank my mom, my dad, family, and friends for supporting me through the grind, and you know, we're finally here.
Well, I know that, David, you'll be watching Lonnie for a long time, but a guy that's been watching Lonnie since he was in high school is Mike Schmitz. He's standing by.
Lonnie Walker to the Spurs could be the steal of the draft. His game pops at the NBA level, 6'5", 6'11" wingspan, explosive athlete, can shoot it on the move. The main reason why he fell in this draft, some concerns about his medical. He was getting looks in the late lottery, even in the top 10. So if he's able to stay healthy in a few years, I really think he's a guy we're going to look back at as the steal of this draft. Woj?
Reese, Chris Caputo, University of Miami assistant, spent time with the Spurs at their veteran mini camp that they had 2 weeks ago. Spurs GM R.C. Buford and their staff, they were able to pump Caputo for information to understand Lonnie Walker better. He's a unique kid. The highest, really the highest decorated high school player to ever pick the University of Miami, and that was certainly one of the factors in their research that helped them come to a decision tonight on Walker.
Woj, I agree with Mike. I love the pick. I actually love the last two of Walker to San Antonio, DiVincenzo going to Milwaukee, and now the Hawks are up. They'll get their second player of the night, their second first-round pick.
With the 19th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Kevin Huerter from the University of Maryland.
They like to call Kevin Huerter the Red Mamba, a sharp shooter who played point guard growing up, Jay.
Kevin Huerter put his name into the draft to quote-unquote test the waters. And the water must have felt awfully good for Huerter because he is picked in the top 20 in the draft. He is an NBA-level shooter. He's got an excellent stroke, shot 42% from three. He may have the best footwork of any shooter in the draft. Very good off screens and good in transition. He's a good player.
I really like him. Reminds me a lot of Mike Miller, the younger Mike Miller, I might add, in Orlando. Very athletic. Can put the ball on the floor. Beautiful jump shot. I mean, can really, really shoot it, and good vision, and can pass the basketball. I think he was going to be a still underrated player. I'm looking forward to seeing his development.
Kevin Huerter going to the Hawks. He was invited here to Brooklyn, but chose to stay home in Albany to celebrate with more of his family and friends. And Mark Turgeon, I'm told, and several of his Maryland teammates made the drive from the University of Maryland up to upstate New York to celebrate with Kevin Huerter, and they see him get picked in the top 20 of the draft, 19th overall going to Atlanta. That now puts the Timberwolves on the clock at number 20. So one thing Atlanta has been able to do up to this point is they have certainly added some shooting
Yes,
with Kevin Huerter and Trae Young after making that deal with Dallas. So those two guys would give the Hawks a formidable pair of perimeter scorers for sure.
And not just shooting, I'll tell you what, how about basketball IQ? I mean, two guys that know how to play the game, that can obviously score, but know how to play along with other people. You know, and I said this all along, wherever Trae went, hopefully he had a lot of shooters around him, because he's a playmaker. He can use pick and rolls, get downhill, but he's going to need some help, so they can't put these tall, big defenders on him.
And it'll be nice for Huerter to have a passer like Trae Young. When he spots up, he's going to be found. And his footwork, mentioned his footwork, it's excellent. And Huerter does a very good job of filling lanes in transition and running to find an open shot. So I think the combination of those two could be very good for Atlanta for a long time.
Okay, so mid-sized wings. There's been a run on them of late with Zaire Smith, Dante DiVincenzo, Lonnie Walker IV, and now Kevin Huerter going. And now we're to the 20th pick, where the Timberwolves are making the selection because of the Ricky Rubio trade, the deal that they made with the Jazz late last June. The Timberwolves got this first-round pick, which is 20th overall. They won 47 games, made the playoffs this past year. Tom Thibodeau in there, and this is the core of guys that they have with the veteran Jimmy Butler, Karl Anthony Towns, who's becoming a star, Andrew Wiggins, once the #1 overall pick in the draft as well, averaged nearly 18 points per game. So what does Minnesota need right here, Chauncey, with this pick at 20 to help them take another step forward?
You know what, I'll be honest with you, I like the kid. I like the kid Chandler Hutchinson. I really do. Reminds me a little bit of Kyle Kuzma, can do it all, rebound. They have pretty much everything. You know, that 4 spot there, obviously Taj Gibson is there, who's very serviceable, big man, but he's fine with his role. If he has to come off the bench, that's fine. If he has to start, that's fine. But I think they can use a dynamic playmaker that can shoot in that spot to get him some depth. I mean, Tibbs doesn't go to that bench very often, but you got good players, you can use some of that depth.
If you believe the rumors, there's one team hoping that they don't take Chandler Hutchinson. There's been all kind of talk that the Bulls at 20, they're still a couple of picks away, had given him a promise right there. But that was one of the things they were worried about, is that maybe Chandler would go prior to their pick at 22. Will the Timberwolves be interested? Here's what the Timberwolves lineup looks like, Jay. Who do you see? What kind of need do you see in fitting in with Minnesota right now among the players who are left on your best available board?
Well, first of all, before Jay goes, Jamal Crawford opted out, so you can take him off of the list.
Yep.
So now you're down to 2 guys on your bench.
I mean, if you go to the best available list, Aaron Holiday is the top player remaining from UCLA, the point guard. I have Grayson Allen there, a guy who's an excellent shooter, who's strong, very athletic. Robert Williams from Texas A&M, who is more of a big guy, who's a shot blocker, rebounder, a guy that can rim run, but really not a great offensive player. Only shoots 43% from the free throw line and doesn't really step away at all. So there's some quality players left. You know what would be good is somebody inexpensive.
Yeah, because that's about to get
they got a lot of payroll.
Yeah. about to get pricey over the next few years, too, as Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns start commanding bigger and bigger salaries, and also a lot of money already invested, and understandably so, in Jimmy Butler after a big trade last year that sent Butler from Chicago to Minnesota. There are only a couple of guys left in the green room right now, and Chandler Hutchinson that Chauncey mentioned, one of them, and Aaron Holiday, the guy that Jay has been so high on, who was terrific at UCLA this past year, is still sitting and waiting, too.
Yeah, and look, this is an eye of the beholder draft. There are some really good defenders left, too. Kyrie Thomas of Creighton is one. Josh Okogie from Georgia Tech, another guy, you know, with his length, his athleticism, gigantic hands, and he's raw offensively, but he's going to get better and better. So there's some really good value remaining toward the end of the first round.
And I tell you what, Jay, I love Aaron Holiday as well. I mean, I really do. I thought he had a very good year. He's underrated. Nobody really talked about him. But he has the ability to change a game. He really does. He has a great handle, can get in there, cause a problem down in the paint. So I'm looking forward to seeing where he lands as well.
And one of the things, when you look at him initially, he seems small. And I'm not even making a joke here, but he has tremendous wingspan. He's 6'1", maybe 6'1", 6'2", but his wingspan's more like a 6'5", 6'6" guy, so that will help him defensively in the league, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the small guy, you want him to be scrappy, you want him to change the pace of the game, especially if he's coming off of your bench. So he'll have the ability to do those things.
And I like what DeAndre Ayton said about him when he was up here when we were talking about the 16th pick, when he was talking about what a vocal leader he is. And that's pretty impressive for an opponent, big guy, to notice that about a guard that he's playing against. I was impressed by that.
We'll see if the Timberwolves are impressed enough by Holiday to take him. The time has expired on the clock, 5 minutes between picks, or 5 minutes to make a pick here in the first round of the NBA draft. But as of now, as I look over my shoulder, still no sign of Adam Silver as we wait to see what the Timberwolves will do. The Timberwolves have had some big moments on draft nights in the last few years, coming off that 47-win season. Had to play the Rockets in the first round of the playoffs, and they were bounced out, but they got that experience of making it into the postseason. What is that like for a team that has so many young players to get in there? We'll get back to that thought momentarily, as I'm told that Adam Silver is about to announce the pick.
We have another trade to announce. The Philadelphia 76ers trade the draft rights to Mikal Bridges, the 10th pick, to the Phoenix Suns for the draft rights to Zaire Smith, the 16th pick, and a future first-round pick. And with the 20th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Josh Okogie from Georgia Tech.
One of the guys that Bill has said could be a potential pick is, how does he fit in terms of the way he plays with a Tom Thibodeau style of team, Jay?
Well, he can guard people. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He's got gigantic hands, and he's aggressive. He's got a good motor. I think his initial impact is going to be as a defender, which Tom Thibodeau would absolutely love. He's going to have to refine his shot. He's very raw on the offensive end, and he's going to have to improve his handle. But he's got an attack mentality and just a great motor. He plays his tail off all the time.
Josh Okogie, the 20th pick, that puts the Utah Jazz on the clock. And boy, it was a great win for Utah last year when they came up with Donovan Mitchell. Here's some guys who are still on the board, yet to be selected. The top shooter remaining, Grayson Allen out of Duke. Where will the Blue Devil sharpshooter wind up? And Robert Williams, old Gig'em, the top shot blocker, who will take him for his defense. Back in our coverage of the NBA Draft, the second annual NBA Awards return to TNT Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Our good friends over at Turner having that broadcast hosted by Anthony Anderson, musical guest Travis Scott. Find out who wins the Kia MVP and all of the awards. The NBA Awards on TNT Monday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. We've been able to give you a little taste of what goes on after these lottery picks have their names called. An opportunity to meet the fans. They've got a lot of media obligations, a lot of autographs to sign, sometimes signing basketballs, not quite enough. Oh, Colin Sexton's riding on our camera. I hope that signing bonus is big. Young Bull, I'm going to send you a young Bill. That camera's not ready. Jazz about to make the pick, 21st overall. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 21st pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Grayson Allen from Duke University.
Grayson Allen, after a 4-year sensational career at Duke, and this is the way it's going to be for Grayson, who's in the stands here at Barclays Center with his family and friends. There's a mixed reaction to him. And there's his new teammate, Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell played against Grayson Allen several occasions when Donovan was at Louisville and Grayson was at Duke. There's John Shire, Duke assistant coach, who with Grayson and celebrating this moment as Grayson Allen goes to Utah. Jay, we know what kind of player he is. How do you see the fit and the culture? Obviously playing with Quinn Snyder in Utah now.
Well, I think he's a really good fit because he can shoot the ball. He's very talented offensively. He's one of the elite shooters in college basketball. He's got a great stroke. He uses a good shot fake. He doesn't take a ton of contested shots, but he shoots 85% from the free throw line and knocked down over 102 threes last year as a senior. Good in pick and roll, and he's a good passer. He's not a one-dimensional player. He can pass it. He's had some clutch games over the course of his 4 years, including in the Final Four when he was a freshman. He's not a great defender. He lacks some lateral quickness, but he's athletic off the floor. He's athletic in a straight line, can really run. But where he sets himself apart is as a shooter.
Reminds me of a guy I played with late, Bobby Sura. Very good plays with passion and intensity. Very good. I tell you what, underrated playmaker, but to me, he's so competitive and he's a proven winner, in my opinion. He goes from playing for a great coach in Coach K to a very good coach in Coach Snyder. That's very, that Coach K connection is all over this kid right now. But I'm a big fan of him. I love his competitiveness. He's going to play and compete until the bell rings, and I think he's going to be a very solid NBA player.
I'm sure most know that Quinn Snyder played at Duke for Coach K during his college days, now the head coach of the Jazz, and he takes Grayson Allen under the team, and Grayson is with Maria Taylor.
Grayson tells me there was a thought that maybe he wouldn't come all the way out to Brooklyn, but I'm sure he's happy that he did now. What made you change your mind and decide to make it here?
I just felt like it was a moment I couldn't miss. Walking up on stage and shaking the commissioner's hand and putting this hat on. I've been watching the draft since I was a child, so I'm just really happy I made the choice to come.
So what does it mean to be the guy shaking the commissioner's hand? Donovan, you might as well just come on and sit. You sure? You sure? I mean, you already wrecked it. What are the expectations you have for the Jazz this season, adding Grayson to it?
We can do so many things, as you saw this season. Adding a guy like him, elite scorer, great guy, great defender who plays, is unselfish. Man, we got a good one in him, and we're excited.
There's a lot of ACC stuff going on. I mean, what's the relationship like with you and Donovan Grayson?
Oh, it's good. We had a bunch of good battles against each other when he was at Louisville. And he's a great competitor, so it was always fun going up against each other, and I'm excited to be on the same team now.
All right, you got Coach Quinn Snyder, who's going to be your coach for the next few years, and you come from Coach K, who's a great developer of talent. What are your expectations on the next level?
Well, we got the Duke connection, but I know he's a great coach. I watch the Jazz play a lot. They move the ball really well, and I mean, Donovan obviously had a great rookie year. So I'm excited. I know I'm going to learn a lot from him and his short experience in 1 year, and from Coach Snyder, and I'm just really happy.
All right, it's going to be weird seeing you in a different jersey for the first time. Congratulations, Grayson.
Thank you.
Maria, Grayson, thank you. Look at that. There was some question after all that Grayson Allen dealt with. How would he fit in the locker room? Well, he's got one teammate that appears to be on his side as Donovan Mitchell embraces his new teammate Grayson Allen, who's on his way to the Utah Jazz. That is now 3 Duke players who have gone in the first round. Marvin Bagley, the third, second overall, going to the Kings. Wendell Carter Jr. to the Bulls. And now Grayson Allen going to the Jazz. The Chicago Bulls with plenty of time on the clock. We'll give you a little foreshadowing of what this pick was a moment ago.
With the 22nd pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Chandler Hutchison from Boise State University.
Chandler Hutchison played for Leon Rice at Boise State, a 4-year player who developed over the course of his career. I was talking to Leon Rice about Chandler earlier this week, and he said that after a practice during his sophomore year in which Chandler averaged about 6 points per game, Leon, you see him hugging Chandler there, wrote in his notebook that he keeps after every practice, we have to get Chandler to find his hidden treasure and his talent. Boy, did they ever do that. He came back 20 points per game this year. The Bulls were the ones that had been talked about to give him a guarantee at 22, and they paid off by making the pick.
Over a 7-foot wingspan, he's another guy that is a complete player. He's versatile, a good athlete. Not, I wouldn't say a great athlete, but a very good athlete. And he's a very good wing rebounder. He sticks his nose in there and he grabs rebounds. He's always been a late bloomer. wasn't an elite shooter at Boise State, but was an elite player and just got better and better over the course of his time in the Mountain West under Leon Rice. Remember, Leon Rice was an assistant to Mark Few at Gonzaga and spent a lot of time helping to build the ZAG program. But his athleticism, as I mentioned before, is solid. It is not off the charts. It's not like he's not going to be a freak athlete in the NBA, but he knows how to play and has really gotten better and better, and he keeps working at it. That's an impressive player.
And guys, he reminds me of a guy that was a standout rookie last year, Kyle Kuzma. Very high basketball IQ, handles well for his size, ability to create his own shot. And he's just a fluent athlete with great size for a wing player. And I love his footwork. I think he's going to fit in just well. And I like what the Bulls have done. They've done a great job with their wing and interior positions.
So Chandler Hutchison, who right before his junior year went with his team on a trip to Costa Rica and was the 5th leading scorer on the team, I would say he jumped up a little bit. He's now with Maria.
Just a little bit, Reese. Let's talk about the turning point in your college career that made you able to be the athlete walking across the stage today.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a bunch of people in my corner the whole time I've been at Boise State that just believed in me. You know, even if I didn't see the initial success right away, just stuck with me, and I continue to work for it. You know, as soon as I kind of made that decision that I wanted to be here, I wanted to really commit 100% to getting to that next level. I just started to become obsessed with working and wanting to achieve the ultimate goal.
Well, I'm sure the Bulls love hearing that. He's committed to working. Mike Schmitz, he's working hard as well here during our NBA draft coverage.
Yeah, this was a promise gone right. Hutchison was shut down early on in the draft process. His agent, Mark Bartelstein, working out of Chicago. They liked the fit, and I think his length, his fluidity, his play in transition is really going to pop in a spaced NBA game.
All right, Mike, so Chandler Hutchison is on his way to Chicago. There's one guy left in the green room. Aaron Holiday is sitting there with the Pacers on the clock. When will the UCLA start going the draft?
Who will be the next great NBA player? His picture on walls. His name, a brand. His game, remembered forever. The next generation of great NBA players are here tonight.
Indiana Pacers, their time has expired to make their pick. 23rd overall. Here's Adam Silver, the commissioner.
With the 23rd pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Indiana Pacers select Aaron Holiday from UCLA.
Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, the green room is closed.
Yes.
Aaron Holiday had to wait, but wait that was well worth it. His two brothers, Drew and Justin, both play in the league. Drew, of course, with the Pelicans, Justin with the Bulls. And now Aaron Holiday
How about that?
has
Great
the spot with the
stock.
Pacers. It's not
Great
bad,
stock
huh?
he comes from. Those two brothers, first of all, the most underrated point guard in our game in Drew Holiday. And Justin, I think, is an ascending young player. I'm just happy to see this kid be selected. I thought he was underrated all year. I agree with Jay. Terrific young player. I think he's gonna be fit in just fine there under a very good coach, and Coach Nate McMillan. I just love it. I love the pick.
See Aaron Holiday going up and greeting Adam Silver. Let's check out now. Aaron Holiday is here to help teamwork go right. Brought to you by State Farm.
Yeah, Reese, I think Aaron Holiday may be the best ball handler in this draft. He's a pure scorer and with a great pick and roll feel. He can split defenders. He's proven to be a good passer, average 5 assists per game in addition to 20 points per game. A good finisher at the rim with that 6'7" wingspan. Mentioned like his passing with either hand. He reads angles very well and can deliver it. But he's one of those guys that isn't going to fail because he competes, and he competes at both ends of the floor. He's a respected defender. He was on the all-defensive team in the Pac-12. I'm a big fan of this young man because he's a fighter, a real fighter on the floor.
It reminds me a lot of a guy that I competed a lot against, and Jameer Nelson, just a warrior out there. Undersized, can score on anybody, good speed, good quickness, very confident. He can create his own shot, won't back down from anybody, and plays with that toughness and aggression that you want a small guy to play with that always has a chip on his shoulder.
Hey, look, he's had to fight for everything because that's a pretty athletic family. We've talked not only about his brothers playing in the NBA, his mom and dad were also players as well. You see his sister, Lauren Holiday, played basketball at UCLA, and there's Drew. He's playing for the Pelicans. You heard what Chauncey thinks of him. Justin playing for the Bulls. And then Mom Toya, who's a Sun Devil, playing for Arizona State. And Father Sean also played for Arizona State. So Aaron had to learn to compete. And Drew is married to Lauren Holiday, who's a member of the U.S. Soccer National Team, won a couple of Olympic gold medals. So look, all the brothers checking out some hats now. I'm not sure how all of the fans are going to react to that with everybody. They can excuse it for one night. Maria's with Aaron Holiday.
Just one night. You got to see the family tree, all the athleticism that's running through the veins. What's it like to start your professional legacy in this family?
It's a great feeling. I'm just blessed. I thank God every day for this ability to play basketball, and it's a really great feeling for sure.
Your brothers, Drew and Justin, they've been here, they've done that, and now they're making their professional careers in the league. What have they told you to expect at the next level?
Just by seeing what they've gone through, they don't have to tell me much. I know pretty much based off of what they went through and how they got to where they are that I need to work hard and just be patient pretty much.
What do you want Pacers fans to know about what you're going to add to their team?
Just somebody who's going to come in and work hard every day. I'm here to play for my teammates and just somebody who really understands the game, and I'm really going to pride myself on defense. So.
How about your bros putting on the Pacers hat for you?
Yeah, that's crazy, but we're a family, so I understand why they did it for sure.
Pacers for 24 hours then, Reese. That'll work.
All the holidays are Pacers for a night.
Just a night. How about that? He's going to be in the same division as one of his brothers, Justin, who plays for the Bulls.
Be able to go head-to-head. Pacers making the pick of Aaron Holiday. That brings us to the Trailblazers, who are now on the clock. Damian Lillard, All-NBA first team, averaged nearly 27 points per game. Blazers finished third in the West, won 49 games this year, but that did not translate into playoff success. They made their fifth straight playoff appearance, but swept by the Pelicans, Drew Holiday's team, in the first round. So now Portland is on the clock with the 24th overall pick in this draft. And the Trailblazers have, of course, those great guards, Lillard and C.J. McCollum. Now, what do they need to do to get better and maybe be a more effective playoff team?
In my opinion, I'd like to see them get better on the wing. I mean, from the 3 and 4 spot. I think they need a more dynamic players, 3 and D guys that can knock down threes, play off of C.J. McCollum, and one of the better point guards in our game, and Dame Lillard. Be able to play off of those guys, do the small things, do the dirty things, just to be able to make plays, keep plays going. And that, to me, is what they need to try to take the next step.
If you're looking for a wing, Keita Bates-Diop from Ohio State is still on the board. You've got Jacob Evans from Cincinnati, who's a really smart player that can make shots, another long-arm guy that can defend. He can play at both ends of the floor. So there's some options. And if you're looking for a defender, Kyrie Thomas of Creighton still on the board, even though he's small, another guy with arms that go forever. So it doesn't matter how tall he is, he can disrupt as a defender and plays his tail off.
What would your philosophy be, Jay, in a draft room once you get to this stage in the draft? Taking the best available or trying to fit a need for your team?
Depends what the need is. I mean, if you can take the best available player, but I think you're looking for guys that are going to be able to blend and that bring an NBA skill. I think they have to do one thing really well, at least when you're at the end of the first round and into the second round, and guys that can blend in on a really good team, because Portland's a good team. And, people say, well, they got swept in the playoffs. They're playing in a difficult division. And they had a great year. I mean, that's a good basketball team. And, sometimes you get a little worried when you feel like you're one player away. They don't want to start ripping anything down in Portland. They want to add to something they've got that's really, really good right now.
The pick is in for the Trailblazers now. 49 games they won during the regular season. Let's see who's on his way to Rip City.
With the 24th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Portland Trailblazers select Anthony Simons from Altamont Springs, Florida.
Anthony Simons from IMG Academy was going to Louisville before Rick Pitino left there and ended up not playing in college, Jay.
Anthony Simons is another guy that he's 6'3", he's got a 6'9" wingspan, a really bouncy athlete that is a big-time offensive talent. He can shoot it, he's got a quick release on his shot. You know, because of his age, he lacks some strength, but he's going to get stronger. And he's really young. There's a question, can he defend at this level? You give him some time, and I think he'll be able to do that. He just doesn't have a body of work that you can look to because he didn't play in college this last year. He's more of a mystery man. But if you go back to before the one-and-done rule, he's one of those guys that you took out of high school that people might not have known a lot about. You give him some time, he's got a chance to be a really, really good player.
I also remember this, last year 13 of the 30 first-round draft choices played in the G League quite a bit, so Simons might be able to get some experience there. You see all these big market teams coming up, Lakers, Sixers, Celtics, Warriors, and Nets, all straight ahead.
I've gotten blocked, but only online. Yet it still hurts. Who's the best shot blocker left in tonight's draft?
Well, Captain Obvious, thank you for contributing some content as the Lakers are on the clock. They've missed the playoffs for a franchise record 5 consecutive years. So who has the best shot blocker left? Is it Robert Williams from Texas A&M?
It's Robert. Well, first of all, I can't believe I'm answering Captain Obvious at the NBA draft. But yeah, it's Robert Williams of Texas A&M. You could also say Mitchell Robinson, who should have gone to Western Kentucky, committed there twice. But Robert Williams is a guy that reminds you a little bit of when DeAndre Jordan was at Texas A&M. Not quite the same body style, but he's a superior athlete that can block shots, he can rebound, and he can really run and finish. His offensive game is behind. He doesn't shoot it, doesn't make his free throws. But, man, he is a big-time athlete that could send it back if you try to take it to the rim on him.
I'm pretty sure Alonzo Ball and those guys, how they like to get out on the break. They would love to have a lob threat like this kid.
And the Lakers here, too, trying to position themselves, but have to make a move in the free agent market, maybe pick up a couple of big-time players, big-name players. They haven't been successful in doing that in the last few years and trying to attract free agents. This is how the Lakers wound up with this 25th pick. This is a trade that was made a little over a year ago. The Lakers got the first-round pick, Isaiah Thomas and Channing Frye, and the Cavaliers got Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr., who ended up being big parts of the Cavaliers team that went to the NBA Finals. Lakers pick is in now. Let's see what Magic and the guys are going to do. Adam Silver's on his way soon.
With the 25th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Moritz Wagner from Berlin and the University of Michigan.
Mo Wagner took his team to the national championship game. The general manager of the Lakers is Rob Pelinka, now also a Michigan man. Coincidental, I'm sure. This guy plays with a ton of energy, idolizes Dirk Nowitzki, big man who can play on the outside. You see John Beilein in there. And Mo hugging family and friends. You saw John Beilein sneak out of the way for a second. And Mo Wagner is a guy who seems to have a lot of skills that would translate very well to the NBA, Jay.
He's very skilled. He's a big guy that can step away and shoot. Among the best shooting big men in the draft, I would say Michael Porter Jr. would be number one. I would put Omari Spellman of Villanova up there, and then I would put Mo Wagner up there as well. Mobile, crafty, fundamentally sound, not a great athlete, but he does a solid job on the glass. He blocks out. He's not a great rebounder, but he blocks out every time, and that sort of goes to the fundamentally sound nature. He can stretch you out a little bit and make an open three. He can put the ball on the deck, and he's a good passer. and he's gotten better year after year after year at Michigan. Can be a little emotional at times, but yet another great kid in this draft.
Jay reminds me of a guy that I won a championship with the Pistons, Mehmet Okur. I call him Memo. Very, very outstanding outside shooter. He had a little footwork on the block and score from mid-range as well. He's a fierce competitor. This Wagner kid is, and I think, again, playing with Lonzo Ball, Kuzma, and these guys, they're going to love to pick and pop with this young man.
He joined Larry Bird and Hakeem Olajuwon, the only guys to go 20-15 in the national semifinal.
Got a little swag up there.
He flashed that block him and that jersey number on the inside of the lining of the draft night suit. And Mo Wagner on his way to the Lakers, and he's with Maria Taylor.
This is my home team, Alba Berlin, my first club, and then Michigan, and yeah, means a lot.
What did both of those things coming together as you close your jacket up mean for where you are right now?
It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of people that help you out to get to this point. I'm so incredibly grateful to be here, you know. This is, I'm speechless, truly speechless.
You also led Michigan in scoring in the NCAA tournament. It was a big part of the reason why you're able to walk across this stage. I mean, how did the way your season ended lead you to this moment?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Beilein helped me out so much. The whole staff, they all here, you know, they support me so much. It's crazy. I'm so grateful to have all these great people around me, you know. Without them, I couldn't do this. It means so much to me.
As you take your step to the next level, what do you want Lakers fans to know about who Mo is?
I'm just going to give it all, my 100% every day. That's all that matters. I love basketball. And, yeah, whatever happens, happens, but I'm going to love it, and I'm going to leave it all out there.
Well, congratulations, Mo.
Thank you so much. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Here's Mo's reaction when he was drafted. This is a kid who was watching college basketball on his computer in Germany and was incredulous that John Beilein was coming to recruit him after having coached in a previous national championship game. All Beilein wanted was a beer and a brat, and he got a whole lot more in getting Mo Wagner, who took him to a national championship game, and now Wagner, a first-round draft pick for the Los Angeles Lakers. That puts the Philadelphia 76ers on the clock right now, and the planes are flying overhead, starting the campaign for the King, LeBron James, to move from Cleveland to join that young core in Philadelphia. Bobby Marks is with us. Bobby's got himself a big old touchscreen over there. How in the world can Philadelphia make this happen and get LeBron?
Well, you're right, Reese. This is the summer about LeBron, and it all starts with J.J. Redick. He's got a $27 million cap space. If Philadelphia is in play for LeBron James, Redick's going to have to be renounced. And if we put cap space in here, that would go to $26 million. Let's see how we get to that. The magic number is $35 million. This is how you're going to get to LeBron James. Jared Bayless, an expiring contract, $8.6 million. Remember, by Philadelphia going to number 16, they saved $1 million tonight. So if Bayless goes, that gets you to $35 million. The key is do not take back money. And if you get there, this is who's coming. Right there, LeBron James, $35 million, and this is the summer of LeBron.
Okay, Bobby, I want to follow up on this now. With Philadelphia making that trade, sending Mikal Bridges to 16, are you going to know their strategy based on what pick they make right here?
Well, I think it's going to be key. If they go international right now, that player could stay overseas. That's a $1.7 million cash value that goes to the cap. And that could be an indication as far as what Philadelphia is lining up for this summer.
Okay, now how likely do you think it is that they would be successful in luring LeBron James there?
Well, I mean, I think if you're looking at it, here it is. Your core three, Simmons, Embiid, and Saric. You've got stability at head coach with Brett Brown, just signed that new extension. And you've got the assets to improve. They've got that pick, that Miami pick, 2021, Robert Covington, Markelle Fultz, the possibility used in trade. But here's your sales pitch if you're Brett Brown when you walk into free agency.
LeBron, arguably, Bobby, thank you. LeBron, arguably the best player ever. Split hairs, him, Michael Jordan, whoever you prefer. With this young core, Could everybody blend with LeBron? Ben Simmons, who some view as a similar style player. I'm not saying he's as good, so don't jump on me. I'm just saying, don't at me. Could it all fit together with LeBron in Philadelphia?
If you can't play with LeBron James, something is wrong with you. If you can't do that, something is wrong.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I really don't.
Why not?
Because I think Ben Simmons is a guy who has to have the ball in his hands. He's ascending. He's a very good young player. He doesn't shoot the ball very well. He doesn't even shoot the ball, actually. That's how bad it is. And LeBron James obviously deserves to have the ball in his hands. So how can those two play together when LeBron needs shooters to kick out too? The guy's he's not gonna be kicking out shooting Ben Simmons. So I don't like LeBron going to Philadelphia, but he makes everybody better, but he's never gotten anybody a jump shot. How about that?
Never ever, huh? I don't know. He's never gotten Kyle Korver a jump shot.
No, he's never made a guy that can't shoot a shooter.
Oh, I misunderstood what you meant. I was like, this guy gets assists all the time.
With the 26th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Landry Shamet from Wichita State University.
And Landry, the Wheat Shocker, is in the crowd here at Barclays Center. And the first-round pick from the 76ers. Now, you never know what they could do. Bobby Mark suggested perhaps if it were international, that would signal that they were really going to pursue LeBron. That's for another day, I'm sure. Philly does still indeed want LeBron, but what they have now, Jay, is Landry Shamet, who is a very, very good player for Greg Marshall at Wichita State.
Good size at 6'5". He's a crafty lead guard. A very good shooting stroke. Landry Shamet shot 44% from three-point range, made 84 threes last year, an over 80% free throw shooter, a very good feel. And he's another big guard that's solid in pick and roll situations. He can refuse them. He can snake through them, split defenders. I wouldn't call him a great transition point guard, but he's got good control of what's going on. I think where he sets himself apart is he's a good shooter. Now, he was a very good baseball player, like Donovan Mitchell was a very good baseball player.
Well, guess what,
Could
Jay?
he be the Donovan Mitchell? No, I don't know. I'm not
He's
saying
turned out to be a pretty good
baseball
player. Well, guess what? He's not going to have to be a point guard because Ben Simmons is going to have the ball in his hands. All he's going to have to do is be able to make a knockdown jump shot and make a play on the weak side every now and then.
He'll guard dudes, too. You don't play in that program if you don't guard people. And now the Celtics are on the clock. The Sixers' arch rivals, you see what Boston's been able to do. They got Kyrie, they got Gordon Hayward. They ended up losing both of them during the season. And neither of them able to play in the playoffs, but still, Brad Stevens and the Celtics had a terrific season. They won 55 games. They lost to Cleveland in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals behind Jason Tatum, who was the 3rd pick in the draft last year and was just terrific. Now, I'll put on my general manager's hat for just a second. I hear all this stuff about maybe Boston's going to trade some of this core. I would like to see them not do anything except add a person in the draft, get Kyrie, get Hayward back, and see what you got. They almost made the finals without those two last year.
I agree with you 100%. I say keep everybody back, bring everybody back, everybody be healthy, take another swing at it. Who knows what LeBron James is going to do? I mean, we've seen what the Cavs did. That doesn't really move the needle. So I think you're sitting pretty right now if you're the Boston Celtics. You try to bring everybody back and take a swing at it and just kind of see what happens.
What do you think they want here?
I'm surprised a guy like Gary Trent Jr., who I think is very strong, competitive, can knock down shots, can defend. You know, in the event you lose a guy like Marcus Smart, you know, I like to see a guy like Gary Trent go here.
He could. Jacob Evans is another guy we mentioned from Cincinnati. If they're looking for defenders, you're saying DeAnthony Melton of Southern Cal, Melvin Frazier at Tulane.
Kyrie Thomas.
Kyrie Thomas. He's a guy who I thought would be taken by now. And he's a guy, he's a great teammate. He plays his tail off and an excellent perimeter defender from Creighton.
The one thing you know about the Celtics is that Danny Ainge is always active, always looking to try to find a way to better his team. Of course, in Kyrie's absence, they had Terry Rozier, former Louisville player, really step up this season too and make his mark to be a productive player. Woj is back with us now. Adrian Martinowski. Adrian, what do you have for us right now?
Well, Boston has been looking for a young big man to start bringing in behind Al Horford, and one player on the board who is a lottery-level talent, Texas A&M's Robert Williams, almost came out after his freshman year last year and was projected at that time to be a top 7 or 8 player. Questions about his attitude, work ethic have knocked him almost out of the first round here, but he is high on the Celtics draft board, and if they select him here, he could be a steal of this first round.
All right, Woj. So Woj telling us what perhaps Boston is wanting to do as Mike Schmitz joins us now. Mike, if it is Robert Williams or whenever Robert Williams is taken, what are teams getting?
Yeah, this is a total home run for the Celtics. 27th pick, another 27th pick, Clint Capella. I think there are some similarities with those two in terms of how they can function in the NBA. 6'10", 7'5" wingspan, can get up and down in transition when he's motivated. The best lob catcher in this draft, protects the rim, can switch on the perimeter. I think he's a little bit of a college casualty in terms of how they used him at Texas A&M. He played mostly the 4 next to an interior 5, and Tyler Davis was rolled only 9 times all season. The best lob catcher in this draft, rolled to the rim only 9 times. I think he's really going to pop playing the 5 in the NBA game. Perfect fit for the Celtics.
If that is indeed the path that Boston chooses to take. Texas A&M made a run to the Sweet 16. You saw some of the talent on display from the Aggies when they were able to make a bit of a surprise run. So the Celtics, it could be a savvy pick here to get who we think is maybe the best shot blocker left on the board.
And a really key point by Mike Schmitz there, when he's motivated. And he's got to be motivated to play every night. If Boston does take him, you would think that Robert Williams would be motivated to fit into a team that's Eastern Conference Finals and has a chance to compete for an NBA championship when healthy, because he is athletically, he's top 5 in this draft. There's no question about it. And he reminds me a little bit of another Texas A&M guy. I mentioned it before, DeAndre Jordan. He was a second-round draft pick, no offensive game, but he can run the floor, he can block shots, protect the rim, and he can finish plays.
Jay, he does one thing that nobody on the Celtics can do. He's a lob threat. And he gets vertical really, really fast. So just imagine having Kyrie coming off a pick and roll, or Gordon Hayward or Tatum, and having that lob threat where a guy has to stay home. I mean, it opens up a lot of different things on the floor. I think, like Mike Smith said, it's a home run play if you're the Boston Celtics.
And Keita Bates-Diop of Ohio State, as you can see on this best available list, is probably the most versatile player that's left sort of in the next 5 on the best available list. Another guy, 7'3" wingspan, really good mid-range game, not a spectacular athlete. But I agree with Mike. Like, if you're looking to get a top 10 talent at 27, you know, Robert Williams, if you're willing to help him along and be demanding of him, and he's got to be accountable to be that motivated guy, you know, sort of the when he's motivated thing. Like, whose issue is it to be motivated or to motivate him? He's got to motivate himself and bring it every day.
And like you said, come on now, we all trust Danny Ainge.
And Brad Stevens, for that matter.
And Coach Stevens to develop the talent that Danny brings in. I mean, every other team got to be scared right now when Danny Ainge is making a decision.
Celtics on the clock right now, and the pick is in. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 27th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Robert Williams III from Texas A&M University.
So the dimension that Jay and Chauncey were talking about is now a part of the Celtics team. Robert Williams averaged 2.5 blocks, played just about 25 minutes per game. Here's a look at the big Aggie, JB.
Robert Williams has a 7'6" wingspan, and he can really get off the ground. He is a powerful athlete with a great frame. He is explosive. He is a big-time shot blocker. He pursues the ball, going after it, not only to block shots, but rebounding. The one thing he lacks, he's not a very good offensive player. He's 2 of 30 from three-point range in his career. He only shoots 43% from the free throw line, but he's a 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, this guy is a big-time top 5 in the draft athlete. When he brings it, he can really play.
Yes, he is. It reminds me of Tyrus Thomas. I know you guys remember that name. Very athletic, very long, plays with a lot of effort and consistency every single night. He's a rim runner. And again, like I said, he brings something to the table that no other Celtic can. And I'm sure all the guards and ball handlers that play with him, play with the Celtics, are happy to have this kid.
Throw those lobs, get the assist total. 3 more picks remaining in the first round. The world champions are on the clock. Warriors come out and play.
NBA Draft 2018, presented by State Farm, is brought to you by the new reimagined 2019 Jeep Cherokee and Verizon, the most awarded network ever.
Consecutive year, the Warriors and the Cavs will play for the NBA title. J.R. Smith brings it back out.
That's a bad mistake by J.R. Smith.
Steph Curry set a finals record, his 9th three-pointer of the game. James up and under, throws it off the fifth board. Oh, what a perfect pass to himself. Kevin Durant way outside, delivers. A dazzling display from Kevin Durant. Golden State champions of the NBA once again.
2-time reigning champs have their first round pick, 28th overall. Who joins that offensive juggernaut in Golden State? Here's Adam Silver.
With the 28th pick in the 2018 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Jacob Evans from the University of Cincinnati.
Oh, not everybody's booing the Warriors here. Some of the youngsters like Golden State. Jacob Evans from Cincinnati, a tough-minded player.
Tough-minded player, another guy with arms that go forever, a 6'9" wingspan. Jacob Evans grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but he was not recruited by LSU. He was a late bloomer and really developed at Cincinnati along with his head coach, Mick Cronin. He's a jack of all trades. Good shooter with size. Now he can improve his handle and his passing, but he is solid in every area. Mick Cronin has said he's the smartest player that he's ever coached. You put him in this Golden State Warriors system, and he's going to be able to knock down shots. He's going to be a very good defender, and he will blend in and help that team win.
That's the great thing about it. If he's smart, like Coach says, basketball IQ, he's going to fit right in with the Golden State Warriors because they have so many guys that can make you look good.
Well, as Jay alluded to, he always saw himself as an underdog in high school, stuck with Cincinnati. They were first on him and stuck with the team after injuring a finger during the season this year. Shooting dipped a little bit after that. Now he joins a team with plenty of offense and plenty of challenges as Bobby Marks is with us now. Big price tag coming, Bobby, if Golden State wants to keep this together for a while, right?
Well, you're right, Reese. It's going to get expensive, and it's going to start with Kevin Durant this summer. He's going to sign for a max contract, and look at where these costs are going to go. They are looking at a $200 million team this offseason. They are in the luxury tax. This is why this pick is so important with Jacob Evans. It's $200 million plus. Next year is where it really gets expensive. The first $300 million plus team, a repeater tax team, the summer of Klay Thompson, who will be a free agent, a likely max candidate. We don't even have 2020-21 up. That's when Draymond Green is. But, Reese, this is worth it. If you're going to win 2 championships in a row and 3 out of the 4, to spend $200 million, I think a lot of owners would certainly do that.
It's better to spend that kind of money and win than spend something close to it and keep losing, right?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of owners would like to have this problem.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. And the Brooklyn Nets are on the clock in front of the home team here, and Brooklyn, or the home crowd. Okay, I want to show you what's coming to an end because Bobby's staying with us right now. There have been some lopsided trades in history, like the Louisiana Purchase. France traded the Louisiana Territory, $15 million to United States. There, of course, was the curse of the Bambino when the Red Sox traded the Babe to the Yankees for $125 grand. I don't care if you do it to modern money. Dallas traded Herschel to Minnesota. Herschel, the greatest college player, maybe. It didn't work out as well in that trade. After that, it did for the Cowboys, of course. And then Boston traded Pierce and Garnett to Brooklyn. You got 3 first-round picks, an option to swap picks in 2017. It became the number 1 overall pick. And now, on this night, in 2018, in this building, our good friend and really good sport, really good natured guy. It's finally over, Bobby. It's over tonight.
It is finally over, Reese. And I'm surprised they even let me in this building. And it's been 5 years since the anniversary. And I think what we all learned, and I think it's a lesson for all teams, is that if you're going to push all your chips to the middle, make sure you have a safety net. And we did not have that in Brooklyn, but I give credit to Sean Marks and that front office there, where they've been able to slowly try to rebuild that team. And the good thing is, though, I get to spend the whole night with you guys.
I was going to ask you earlier about the difference. I know the adrenaline's pumping when you're in the front office and making those decisions. Are you laughing at those guys tonight because you get to analyze it all? But I mean, it's a different type of adrenaline, I'm sure. Right?
I don't want to offend anyone. That's my goal tonight. Is not. I don't want to come down and get that phone call that I offended a team. But Brooklyn will do a good job. They've got a lot of cap space, potentially $70 million in 2019 to really build this thing up.
Stick around in this business a little bit longer, and you're not going to give a care in the world about offending somebody, because it's going to happen either way, right? And Bobby Marks, he's done such a sensational job for us. And we've talked about this trade as well. Dwight Howard put up pretty good numbers for the Hornets and was caught off guard, he said, by this trade. Nets and Hornets proposed trade hasn't been finalized yet. The Nets would get Dwight Howard, and there was a report today that maybe he would ask the Nets to let him out of his deal. The Hornets would get Timofey Mozgov, reuniting him with Mitch Kupchak, who has been very favorable to Timothy Mozgov over the last few years. They would also get a second-round pick, 45th overall tonight, and a second-round pick in 2021. So Brooklyn is on the clock. They're down to 9 seconds left in their 5-minute allotted period to make their selection. And to see what Brooklyn is going to do as it comes to an end of that trade with the Celtics. It did set back the franchise, all kidding aside, and now the opportunity to perhaps take a step forward. Will that be with Dwight Howard or without? And will it be with this pick, which is 29th overall, the penultimate pick here in the first round? So Brooklyn, you just had Jacob Evans go off the board. What would you see Brooklyn doing here right now, Jay? They just really are in a position, it seems to me, where they need to add talent at a lot of different places.
If you go by the best available list, Kyrie Thomas still available. I had him rated number 21 overall from Creighton. Excellent defender, really good teammate too. Keita Bates-Diop of Ohio State, guy with a very good mid-range game, 6'7". He's got over a 7-foot wingspan. Not a spectacular athlete, but very good. And a couple of long-arm defenders. DeAnthony Melton from USC didn't play this last year because of this whole FBI scandal. And then Melvin Frazier of Tulane, who did extraordinarily well, played for Mike Dunleavy, was brought into Tulane by Ed Conroy, played his last 2 years for Mike Dunleavy Sr. For the Green Wave, and did really well at the Combine. Athletic, can run, can guard multiple positions. Could be a good pick at the end of the first round.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kyrie Thomas is a guy, that comes to mind. Still Gary Trent Jr. Just some wings. You need some wings that can defend.
Let's take a look
like
at
that
the
point
Brooklyn
guard
depth
position
chart
with D'Angelo and Spencer Dinwiddie right now. Jeremy Lin will be back. But just having some wings. Allen Crabbe had a pretty good year. Jared Allen is ascending. I thought he had a good rookie year as well. So you're looking for depth at this point, and you're just trying to find that diamond in the rough at the end of the first round.
So the Nets, the home crowd, fans from a lot of different teams here in the crowd. It's not just filled with Nets fans here in Brooklyn. They've got a great arena in which to play. See their fans here waiting the word from Adam Silver to see who the pick will be, or whether perhaps Brooklyn is making some moves right now. They've already tried to make one with Dwight Howard, though that has not yet been finalized at this point. So we'll see what Brooklyn is able to do with this pick. Is there anybody that either hasn't gone up to this point or has gone earlier than you thought that's been a bit of a surprise in the first round here too?
But I thought Anthony Simons going. I had him rated in the 30s, and then Landry Shamet, although he's one of the best catch and shoot players in the draft, I had him as a second round pick. But for him going to the first round was a little bit of a surprise, but it's still a good pick.
Yeah. Adam Silver's night is just about over. He just does the first round. So he's got 2 more picks here. And here he comes with Brooklyn's pick in the first round.
With the 29th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Canan Musa from Bihać, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and KK Cedevita in Croatia.
They put Adam to work with that pick. Canan Musa from Croatia here in the stands in Barclays Center, celebrating this moment. He's a first-round pick of the Brooklyn Nets. Hawks on the clock with the final pick of the first round. Mike Schmidt, scout extraordinaire, back with us. Canan Musa, what does he bring to the Nets?
Yeah, Canan Musa is a Bosnian scoring machine, 6'9" wing, was one of the most decorated youth prospects at the FIBA level we've seen, really started gaining steam as a prospect at age 15 and has been getting buckets ever since. I went over to Croatia, to Zagreb, to watch him play this past season with Cedevita. He's aggressive, he can shoot it on the move, he loves to get downhill and attack in space, and he's a big-time Kobe Bryant fan. He's been dying to play in the NBA his entire life. This is his dream. Now he needs to improve as a defender, needs to improve his physicality, can sometimes turn teammates off with his body language, but at 6'9" and his ability to get buckets, there's a lot to like there with Canan Musa.
Okay, real quick, Mike, is this now or later for Musa in the NBA? Now?
Musa wants to come now. He has a $1 million buyout, but he's hoping to get over here right away, and with the Nets, that seems to be a legitimate possibility.
Okay, Canan Musa, the 29th pick in the first round of the NBA draft. One more pick in the first round coming up. The Hawks are on the clock. Hawks have already had a couple of picks so far tonight. We wondered exactly what all goes into getting the communication done to get a pick before it's announced by Adam Silver. There are tons of people working in the background with the anatomy of a pick in the NBA draft. We've got cameras to show you exactly how it unfolds and how the word is spread around with the different people to get to it. So let's roll that tape now. There it is. You see the words? Okay, so now you get the word of the pick. It has to be printed out on a card. If there's a pronunciation issue, they have to make sure that Adam Silver is ready. Brendan McKillop, the NBA Basketball Operations Department, helps out with the runner, and all the picks happen in the Operations Command Center, and it leads to this with Adam Silver.
With the 13th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the LA Clippers select Jerome Robinson from Boston College.
It was cool to see all the cooperation, but what I really wanted to see was who was coaching Silver backstage on Canan Musa.
You think that's what took so long?
Last year, I wish I could recall which pick it was, but there was one that he kept telling me in my ear, the pick's in, and Adam didn't come out, and it was because he was working on the pronunciation. And we laugh about it, but it's a big moment for these kids. You don't want to mess up the names, and he does a really good job with that too. He's very diligent in making sure he gets that right.
Yeah, that is a big moment, and I tell you what, I mess up names every time I'm on TV, so I can appreciate the guys that don't do it, like yourself, like Jay.
Don't jinx us like that.
I mean, you know, a little pressure on. Ain't never hurt nobody.
This is a huge operation. It's something that the NBA does a great job with in terms of the fans being able to enjoy draft night here. So the Hawks had 3 first-round picks. This is the third one coming up for Atlanta, and the final pick in the first round of the NBA draft. Here's the pick for Atlanta.
With the 30th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Omari Spellman from Villanova University. That marks the end of the first round. The second round will be conducted by Deputy Commissioner and Brooklyn native Mark Tatum. And to the very enthusiastic fans here at Barclays and the fans watching around the world, thank you very much for your support.
So Adam Silver wraps up the first round, and member of the national champions, Omari Spellman, goes to the Hawks.
Omari Spellman, we mentioned a little bit before, is one of the top big men shooters in this draft. I'd put him just behind Michael Porter Jr., another skilled big guy. He made 65 threes on the season, shot 43% from 3. I wouldn't call him a post-up big guy or necessarily a pick-and-roll big guy, and he's not really a rim runner. but he's really improved his body. Came into college and he was a little bit pudgy, but he's worked on it. And he really had a good year this last year. I was surprised that he came into the draft this year. I thought he could have used another year, but he's really improved. His mobility is his only issue, but he shoots, passes, very skilled.
Jay, the Atlanta Hawks have done a terrific job in this first round. I mean, you talk about a premium of putting a premium on shooting in the NBA today. They've done a terrific job today.
That's right. They've got Trae Young, came up with Kevin Huerter, and now they've got Amari Spellman. So all size shooters, too. You see the big board, and Wendell Carter Jr. making the fashion statement. Wendell Carter selected by Chicago. You got Jaren Jackson, who's very sparkly, definitely very sparkly here in Brooklyn tonight.
No velvet.
Here's Kevin Knox. They didn't like the pick of the Knox. They will at some point. Colin Sexton has already implored LeBron James to stay in Cleveland and play with him. And Trae Young, part of the Hawks haul tonight that Chauncey was talking about, the nation's leading scorer. Grayson Allen's going to be with Donovan Mitchell with the Utah Jazz as Grayson, the star out of Duke, going in the first round tonight. Second round, when you come back to our draft coverage, it will be the rapid fire round when you come back.
Come on. I'm just trying to get by, feeling inspired because this is my time now. No need to recline, I'm feeling energized. They just getting started, I'm already at the finish line. People would overlook me, underestimated, but I knew that I would make it no matter how long it took me.
First round's in the books. We are not finished. Welcome to the second round of the NBA Draft 2018, presented by State Farm. Barclays Center, Reese Davis, Chauncey Billups, Jay Billis, Adrian Wojnarowski, Mike Smith, Bobby Marks, cast of thousands, Maria Taylor, all with you here in the second round. There have been some gems in the second round. Manu Ginobili barely got drafted. Paul Millsap, 47th overall by the Utah Jazz. Marc Gasol is now a staple for the Memphis Grizzlies. We talked about DeAndre Jordan because of Robert Williams and sharing an alma mater, and Isaiah Thomas went from the last overall pick to an MVP, and Draymond Green has been an integral part of the three-time world champion Warriors. Nikola Jokic, 41st overall, going to the Nuggets. All of these guys have had terrific careers being second-round picks. Suns will make the first pick of the second round. Here's the Deputy Commissioner, Mark Tatum.
Hello, Brooklyn, and welcome to the second round. Let's continue to embrace the next generation of players into the NBA family. With the 31st pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Elie Okobo from Bordeaux, France, and Pau Orthez Club.
Elie Okobo here in Barclays Center, going to the Phoenix Suns, who've been quite active tonight. Suns winding up with DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and now Elie Okobo and Mike Schmitz, our scout extraordinaire and draft expert. What's Okobo bring to Phoenix?
Elie Okobo, one of the most improved international prospects in this draft over the course of the last year. 6'3", 6'8" wingspan. He's a big-time shot maker off the bounce, can shoot it with range, has improved his point guard skills as well, is coming off a 44-point game against former Ohio State guard Aaron Craft in the playoffs, had an extremely productive season at 20 years old with Pau in the south of France. We've gone down and seen Elie, spent some time with him, actually the same club that Boris Diaw, Mikael Pietrus, and the great George Mirasan all played for, so there's some history there. Now he still needs to improve his defensive intensity, some of his decision making, but there's a lot to like there with Elie Okobo's skill set, and I think he fits perfectly in terms of what the Suns need and who they've added in this draft.
Okay, and then that begs the question, now or later?
He's a guy who wants to come over now. Okay. Doesn't have a huge buyout, so I think you could see Elie Okobo potentially in a Suns uniform next year.
And you see him with Mark Tatum right now joining the Suns, and he has joined the fashion trend of no socks.
No socks, high pants.
I'm okay with the no socks, high pants. within reason. I think Ellie did a better job with the shorter look on the pants than Trae Young. I like this a little better than the gym shorts that Trae went with tonight. Second round, JB, we do fashion critiques once we get to the lightning round here in the second round.
I just keep thinking of Trae Young saying nobody's ever worn shorts before, and I was thinking there's a reason for that, Trae.
Hey, but you know what? He wanted to be different, do something that hasn't been done. And
mission accomplished.
He's sticking to his script.
Fashion statement, and now perhaps he'll be able to make a statement with the Atlanta Hawks as well. And Elie Okobo goes to Phoenix. First pick of the second round, DeAndre Ayton, the first pick overall. And Phoenix has done good work, as Mike alluded to tonight.
They have. They've done a good job of just upgrading the talent, on the team. When you're a team that's won the least amount of games in the league, you're looking to improve anywhere you can. And they've done a fantastic job of that, starting with the big fella.
All right, the Memphis Grizzlies are on the clock. They took Jaren Jackson out of Michigan State earlier in the first round, and their second round pick, 32nd overall, is in. Here's Mark Tatum.
With the 32nd pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Jevon Carter from West Virginia University.
Oh, here is a favorite. Here's some of Jevon Carter's relentless moments.
Love it.
By Century 21.
I love it. I love it. I love this kid. I know you do too, Jay, but you talk about grit and grind, the Memphis Grizzlies, the perfect guy for the perfect team, for the perfect town. He's going to get up in you the entire time. He's going to impose his will, and I just love that he's been congratulated tonight for being in the NBA.
Well, Reese mentioned it. He is relentless as a defender, just an absolute pit bull. He doesn't stand out because of his athleticism or his shooting or his offensive game. It's because he's just the toughest dude on the floor. He is the Marvin Hagler of college basketball, and he's going to make it in the NBA just because he's got more want-to than just about anybody he ever plays against.
You look at Carter's resume, 330 steals at West Virginia, two-time Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. He was a Naismith Defensive Player of the Year this year. And if you look at some of the projection analytics that our expert staff does, they say that Jevon Carter has a higher all-star potential than Mo Bamba or Kevin Knox, both of whom were lottery picks. Now, look, that's not a guarantee, and that's not saying he will. It's just saying that based on some of the things that he does well, it projects well to give him a very good NBA career. Hawks, their next pick is in.
With the 33rd pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Jalen Brunson from Villanova University.
Dallas Mavericks.
Jalen Brunson won every award there was to win this year and led his team to a national championship, Jay.
Well, Jalen Brunson is mature, and he is a winner and an excellent point guard. Yeah, he's not another guy who's not going to stand out because of how athletic he is. He reminds you a little bit of Fred VanVleet that went to Wichita State. He can post up, although that won't be a strength of his necessarily in the NBA, but he's very efficient. He knows how to play, and he's just a winner. Tough-minded, can shoot it, and he is, like his efficiency on the floor, he keeps getting better and better, and I'm not sure, Reese, that I've come across a more mature player in the course of my years in college basketball, and as good of a leader. There's a reason why Villanova won, and they won in large part because of Jalen Brunson.
Winner. He's just a winner. That's the best thing that I can possibly say about a kid. Reminds me a lot of Tyus Jones, just very crafty. He has every skill, can post a guy up. He's very patient out there. But at the end of the day, you just want a guy that's going to lead and win and not care anything else about anything else that goes on. No stats, anything like that. Just go try to win and make guys better.
Oh, that's your guy then, because Jalen Brunson is a winner. And as Jay alluded to, we had a chance to spend a good bit of time around him, particularly at the College Basketball Awards show, where he won a whole bunch of those awards, and his gracious attitude and his relentless effort made him a college star and bodes well for the NBA. Mavericks about to make a second-round pick.
With the 34th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Devontae Graham from the University of Kansas.
All right, we have gone back to back to back with really, really good college guards who I think are going to be assets to their teams in the NBA. Devontae Graham, a clutch guy here, Billis.
Boy, Devontae Graham, another, to go off what Chauncey said, not just winners, but these guys are champions. His strength, Devontae Graham, is as a shooter. And for a guy that was not heavily recruited out of high school, he's supposed to go to Appalachian State. He may lack elite quickness, but he can shoot it. Doesn't have great size, but he's, as Chauncey said, he is a winner. And he's gotten better and better over the years. He played with Frank Mason. Then he steps up as a versatile scorer and really had some big games for Kansas this last year to get them all the way to the Final Four. There's no way that Kansas plays in the Final Four without Devontae Graham taking them there.
And you know, he just can't quite get separated from his old backcourt mate, Frank Mason. You know who was the 34th overall pick last year? Frank Mason.
Wow.
How about that? He and Graham both going 34th overall as Graham out of Kansas is going to Atlanta. See, Trae Young, he probably knows him pretty well after this year, too. You don't have to wait long to see some of the future stars in the NBA. Summer League just around the corner. The MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. All the games on the various ESPN networks or on the app and on NBA TV starting July 6th. That's when the moratorium is lifted too, by the way, so you'll get all the news there. You can experience it live by visiting NBAtickets.com and do it right now. While you were away, the Magic took Melvin Frazier, a guy that Jay had talked about earlier, having really improved his game out of Tulane.
Very athletic, 40-inch vertical, another guy whose arms go forever. Where did these guys get these arms? 7'1" wingspan, very good in transition, a good finisher, and really improved his offensive game under Mike Dunleavy at Tulane. The question is, does he rebound as well as he should? But he's got a chance to be a really good defender. When he refines that shot, he could be a player that can really add to a team and really help.
Frazier goes to the Magic, and that brings us to the New York Knicks. We got a pal over in the stands who has a homemade Hami Diallo sign. Will he get his wish? Here's Tatum.
With the 36th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the New York Knicks select Mitchell Robinson from Chalmette, Louisiana.
The Knicks seem to be receptive to getting the big fella who never played in college. Jay, what do you think?
Well, another guy, 7'4" wingspan, arms forever, mobile, athletic. Really, Mitchell Robinson is a first-round talent. He's got natural ability, a quick leaper that can block shots. The only question is, what's his motor like? Is he going to play hard all the time? Is he going to find consistency? He's a bit of an unknown. A lot of people think that he could be like a Clint Capella type player. That would be his role model to mature into in time. He was supposed to play at Western Kentucky, originally committed to Texas A&M when Rick Stansbury was an assistant there, and then went on to Western Kentucky, but never played for the Hilltoppers. But very, very talented player.
Does that raise an eyebrow for you if he didn't play, he decided just to train for the draft, Chauncey?
It does. It does. You'd like to see a guy compete, go compete against the top talent or whoever it is. You really would. But I just think it's kind of funny with the Knicks fans that they clapped and went crazy about this pick when they weren't happy about Kevin Knox. A guy who, oh, man, that's just unbelievable.
Well, Kevin said he would use it as motivation. He'd turn him around and get him in their favor. The Sacramento Kings making the next pick here in the second round. They took Marvin Bagley III with the second overall pick. Let's see what Mark Tatum has to offer now.
With the 37th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Gary Trent Jr. from Duke University.
It is a Blue Devil kind of night for the Kings. They took Bagley second overall and take Gary Trent Jr. early in the second round.
Well, Gary Trent Jr. is another guy that can shoot the ball. Had 97 threes on the season, shot over 40% from three on the year. Earlier in the year, he was well over 50%, got off to an unbelievable start. Very good range on his shot. And a very good stroke. He's a shot maker. The question with Gary Trent Jr. is defensively. He may lack lateral quickness. A lot of people, or some people, I shouldn't say a lot, some people question his feet. Does he have slow feet? Not a great defender, but offensively, a very solid player.
His dad was a pro, and Gary Trent Jr., the fourth player from Duke to be drafted tonight. Trevon Duval could also be drafted to make it a quintet. Second round continues. Kyrie Thomas of Creighton taken by Philadelphia with the 38th overall pick.
Just a competitor, a long-arm defender that is elite on the ball. He's improved as a shooter. He went from 52% from the free throw line to 78%. He needs a little bit of work on his handle, but a great teammate and a hard worker. 2 times Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East. This guy can guard a 6'10" wingspan, even though he's only 6'4". Kyrie Thomas can be a really good defender.
Big East Defensive Player of the Year. He shared the award the previous season with Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart. Now the Sixers went back-to-back, and after taking Kyrie Thomas at 38th overall, they took Isaac Bonga from Germany as a small forward. Mike Schmitz, well, the Sixers have in Bonga.
Wingspan has played a fair amount of point guard with his club in Germany, Frankfurt. He's German-Congolese. He has impressive tools, a nice feel for the game. Needs to improve as a shooter and a scorer overall in the half court. Can get a little bit tougher, but there's a lot to like physically and in terms of instincts. He's the second youngest player in this draft, so a little bit more of an upside play, and he's probably going to stay over with Frankfurt for at least a year or two.
Philadelphia draft and stash, if that indeed is the case. And now Brooklyn is back on the clock with their second pick of the night. They took Jana Musa from Croatia earlier with the 29th overall pick, and now the Nets here at 40th trying to get things rebuilt. We'll see if they continue the run, with the exception of Bonga. We had some college stars that have went off the board quickly when the second round opened. Okay, let's check in now. Woj has some Woj stuff for us. What kind of trade you got working there, Woj?
Yeah, Sacramento sent the 37th pick in the draft, Gary Trent Jr. of Duke, to the Portland Trail Blazers. Portland will send 2 future second-round picks to Sac in the deal. Portland sees Trent as a player who can come in and help them right away. One of the best shooters in this draft. He's gonna be able to get some minutes on what was the 3rd seed in the Western Conference last season.
All right, Woj, so much for that Blue Devil kind of night for Sacramento as they send Trent on his way to Portland. Let's go now to Mark Tatum with Brooklyn's pick.
We have another trade to announce. The Atlanta Hawks trade the draft rights to Devontae Graham to the 34th pick to the Charlotte Hornets for 2 future second-round picks. And with the 40th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Rodions Kurucs from CSKA Latvia and FC Barcelona.
So Rodions Kurucs celebrating here in Barclays Center. Another international pick for Brooklyn. Tries to pattern his game after Kevin Durant. How close is he to that right now, Mike?
That might be a little bit of a stretch, but 6'10", 215 pounds, was once a projected lottery pick in our mock draft a couple of years back. He can get up and down in transition. He can shoot it off the catch. Now, it's been a tough couple of years for Kurucs with some injuries, and Barcelona is a tough club to get playing time with. We saw it with Mario Hezonja. He was in and out of the lineup. Scouts had trouble seeing him early on in the season, but clearly extremely talented. Now, in terms of his situation, he initially had a €4 million buyout, which turned some teams off in terms of his stock, but it seems that his camp was able to negotiate that buyout down considerably, which is going to help his situation moving forward.
Rodions Kurucs getting his moment on the stage here in Brooklyn, and the arena where the team who drafted him plays, getting his moment with Mark Tatum. So the Magic now on the clock with the 41st overall pick.
I love that so many guys said, you know what? It's not just the green room. I want to be in the arena. I'm going to the NBA. Why not?
Hey, you know what? It's a once-in-a-lifetime deal, right? You can't decide later. Boy, I wish I had gone and experienced that.
Shake hands.
Everybody should be more like Rodions Kurucs. Second round continues. Just a couple of notes to recap from the draft tonight. Only 2 seniors drafted in the first round. That ties last year for the fewest all time. Though Mikal Bridges was a 4-year player, but redshirt junior who also went in the first round. We're now in the second with, at the moment, the Denver Nuggets are on the clock. The Nuggets had the last pick in the lottery. They took Michael Porter Jr. a couple of picks ago. The Magic took Jared Vanderbilt, the 3rd Kentucky player drafted tonight.
Yeah, you're taking him based on potential. He's got size, good skill, strength. He can rebound the ball, and he handles it very well. He can guard multiple spots. He's not proven to be a shooter. He was injured most of last year, so he only averaged 5 or 6 points a game for Kentucky and was never able to establish any rhythm during the season. But he does have a ton of potential. If he could get healthy and get some experience under his belt, he could turn out to be a good player in the NBA.
Vanderbilt had a foot injury. So too did Bruce Brown from Miami that ended his season prematurely, but he was just taken by the Detroit Pistons.
And Bruce Brown Jr. of Miami is a triple-double guy. He's had a couple triple-doubles in his career. Bit of an inconsistent shooter, but a very good defender and an excellent guard rebounder that's got a very good passing feel. He's versatile, he is physical, and he is very strong with a good basketball IQ. He's tough and he's competitive. A good combo guard.
Tell him to bring it. He with my Pistons, baby. We're going to need it. Going to need it.
I was around the Hurricane some. While he was hurt, he stayed engaged with the team. Nuggets about to make the pick in the second round.
With the 43rd pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Justin Jackson from Toronto, Canada, and the University of Maryland.
So we've had a run of 3 straight guys who had their college seasons cut very short by injury. Justin Jackson because of shoulder surgery on a torn labrum.
Yeah, Justin Jackson's another long-armed athlete that can rebound and bust out and run the floor. You mentioned that shoulder injury. He played only 44 games in college and was held to single digits in 23 of those 44. He's with that injury history, that's led to some streaky productivity. But when he was healthy, he was viewed early on as a potential lottery pick. Solid, he's just solid as an athlete. His lateral quickness has been questioned, but in time, given some experience, he could turn out to be very good.
Saw him at the Combine last year when he was considering going pro, went back to Maryland, and now he's coming off the injury. The Holiday brothers all celebrating Aaron being drafted by the Pacers. Now everybody's back in their right hats. They were all wearing Pacer hats earlier. Here's a chance for some real advanced scouting. The Junior NBA World Championships, the NBA's first ever global youth basketball tournament. The top 13 and 14-year-old boys and girls teams from around the world. The inaugural event will feature girls and boys divisions, 16 teams that will compete this August on Fox and FS1. To learn more, visit juniornba.com/World Championship. During the break, the Wizards made their selection. It was Isuf Sanan, a guard from the Ukraine, averaged 22 points in Ukraine's second division. The Nets pick 45th overall, coming now.
With the 45th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Hamidou Diallo from the University of Kentucky.
Hamidou Diallo up in the stands and getting a hug right now from his mom. Fashionable guy, sneakerhead, 4th Wildcat selected tonight, Jay.
Well, he's just a super athlete, not a skilled player. The question is, will he develop? As an athlete, he is absolutely worth it. A 41-inch vertical, a wingspan of 6'11", shot only 60% from the free throw line. Didn't really show much effectiveness off the dribble, but excellent in transition. But a guy who is an NBA athlete whose skill level doesn't yet match his athleticism. He's got a long way to go from his skill level.
Jay, you're right about one thing. You talk about an NBA athlete. I mean, that's what you're looking for, a guy on that wing that can catch, go and finish. I mean, all those other things can be taught. You know, he has some God-given gifts there that you just can't, everybody doesn't get those things. And he does, and he'll become a better shooter and a better playmaker over time.
He's wearing the Nets cap now. You saw on the screen just a moment ago, there's a proposed trade with the Hornets. Hamidou Diallo perhaps on his way to Charlotte. The Rockets, first we've heard from them, won 65 games in the regular season and making their first pick in a matter of moments. Got just under 2 minutes to go. James Harden this past year led the league in scoring, made 265 three-pointers, led the NBA. Once again, first team All-NBA, but after Chris Paul got hurt, they lost in 7 games to the Warriors.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think a couple things. One, Trevor Ariza is a free agent. You might want to try to replace that, a guy that can defend on the wing and knock down three-point shots, but also, more importantly, Clint Capella. He can be bought. He can be bought, and there's a lot of people that are probably willing to pay him a whole lot of money. If there's a guy still in the draft that can set the screen and go catch the lob, I mean, you'll be catching it from, seemingly probably Chris Paul and James Harden. So they have a couple holes that they would probably like to fill with the spot.
Now, Chris Paul was unrestricted free agent. You mentioned Trevor Ariza as well, Clint Capella, the restricted free agent. So they have a little bit of work in the offseason to do if they want to try to get everybody healthy and make another run at the Warriors. Let's see what they're going to do with their first draft pick tonight.
With the 46th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select DeAnthony Melton from the University of Southern California.
DeAnthony Melton didn't play last season, was ineligible as part of an extra benefits investigation. What can he bring, Jay?
He brings defense. Another defender, and we've had a few of them drafted already, that is, he's sort of like an Avery Bradley type player. Pretty good passing feel. He's not really a shooter, but a very good help defender. He rotates over. Was 4th in the Pac-12 in the last year that he played a year ago in block percentage, which is unusual for a guy his size. He's disruptive as a perimeter defender. He blows up screens. He gets out. He will get deflections. Just a limited shooter, but his value will be as a defender and a good athlete.
You like that pick, like that fit very quickly, Chauncey?
I do. I do.
Lakers back on the clock. I said keep it tight. He did. Look at a little peek backstage at some of the war rooms, command centers for various teams. You saw the Suns and the Bulls, Orlando Magic. You get an idea of all the people. I recognize that guy in the Mavericks war room. Wonder if he had any input in the decision. Mark Cuban, Rick Carlisle in there, and then back to the Phoenix Suns, who had the #1 overall pick. The Lakers, this is what they did with their most recent pick, 47th overall, taking Steve Mikhailuk from Kansas.
Steve Mikhailuk is a senior. He's only 20 years old. He came to Kansas when he was 16. An excellent shooter. He made 115 threes on the season, shot 44% from 3, and he's a really good cutter. But I like to talk about wingspan all the time. This dude has short arms. He is 6'8". His wingspan is 6'5". He's -3.
So with a -3, when Bill says wingspan, if you took a drink, spit it out. Right now.
Yeah, and he's not old enough to drink, although I am, and will be doing that very soon.
There is Steve. Can you still spell Mikhailuk? Didn't you do that in the 94 feet at Kansas? I don't know if you can. Next pick, Timberwolves on the clock. Let's see what they do at 48 overall.
With the 48th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Keita Bates-Diop from The Ohio State University.
They are going to love Mark Tatum forever for calling it the Ohio State University. And Keita Bates-Diop is a guy who battled some injuries in his career, really came on in this past season, but really says that he is also playing for his younger brother. Keita's younger brother, Kai, about a year ago, a little more than that now, collapsed during a basketball practice and almost died, was revived, and his career as a basketball player came to an end because of his heart condition. It really inspired Keita to strive to become the best player he could be. They had a change in coaches at Ohio State as well, coincided with Bates-Diop getting much healthier, and he had just a sensational season this year for the Buckeyes, and an opportunity. Jay's mentioned this a couple of times. We've talked about him. A really polished scorer and a really good young man.
Yeah, 20 points per game. He led the Big Ten in scoring. Very smooth wing, very skilled. A really good mid-range game. Sort of an old school feel to his game. He's not one of these spectacular athletes. He's just long-armed and skilled and versatile. With a good feel, he rebounds well, but an older player and a guy that has battled through some injuries. So he didn't have a big body of work. But I mean, one of the things it kind of shows you is how much the NBA seems to value youth and guys that are on the upswing. He's one of these older guys that for some reason, like I had him as a first-round talent, but he's taken deep into the second round. A little bit of a surprise.
Timberwolves take the Buckeye Star Spurs back on the clock as we continue in the second round. Back in our coverage of the second round of the NBA draft, the green room was popping with some serious fashion statements, many of them.
A little bit of ice. That one right there took the cake.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went to the outside there. He took some chances, for sure. The last two picks in the draft, a couple of guys who are really good in the interior. Chimezie Metu from USC, a dunker, good shot blocker. And Alize Johnson, a senior forward from Missouri State, who is in the top 5 in the nation, rebounding at more than 11 per game. Johnson went to the Pacers. Now let's see what the Pelicans are going to do with pick 51.
With the 51st pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Tony Carr from Penn State University.
Tony Carr is around Penn State to the NIT title. Talked with Patrick Chambers, his coach, about him, and says his emotional intelligence is off the charts. Might have hurt himself with not necessarily a great athletic showing at the combine.
Yeah, he's a talented scorer. He's not the most efficient player. Shot about 41% from the field, but he's got good size for a guard. Doesn't really have that blow-by ability, but shoots it well. Shot 80% from the field, but just a volume shooter. And a good passer, but tended to turn it over. He was 5th in the Big Ten in turnovers. But at 12 games of 25 or more, 25 points or more. So Tony Carr can really score. It just takes him a number of shots to do it.
And Tony Carr has a nice, clean look as he's making his way up to the stage right now. So, Maria, I don't know how you rank Tony Carr among the fashionable people we've seen tonight.
I don't know, Reese, because we've seen a lot of ankles, we've seen a lot of shiny suits, and some of my favorites I saw earlier on the green carpet. And it started out with Marvin Bagley because he had this whole shiny thing going on. He dropped his mixtape last night, and he felt really good. The mixtape is called Don't Blink, and this is inspired by Michael Jackson, obviously, because it's one of his favorite artists. Mo Bamba, he kept it a little classic, though. Skinny tie, something that Jay Billis could never pull off, and then something, a way that he could prove off that he's always been really good at playing chess. And then here we have Jaren Jackson. He went with the crushed velvet, which I thought was kind of cool. Salmon pink, which we've also seen Chauncey in. But next time, Chauncey, you got to go with the crushed velvet because it's in right now. This is Wakanda inspired, in case you guys were wondering. And Wendell Carter, he had matching mom and dad outfits to join him. Trae Young, you guys know what that looks like. He went with the shorts. I kind of thought maybe he was sending a sign or some smoke signals to LeBron and the Cavs, but he really just wanted everyone to see that he was a little bit different. Y'all saw this in the very beginning. Ayton showed off a little bit of bling, probably a little bit more of that coming down the line for the ¡1 overall pick, Reese.
Hey, look, Maria, I said it earlier. They didn't hire him to bring in watches and bracelets.
Nah.
Rings.
Oh,
Rings is what you need.
We have another trade to announce. The Orlando Magic trade the draft rights to Jared Vanderbilt, the 41st pick, to the Denver Nuggets for Justin Jackson, the 43rd pick, and a future second-round pick. With the 52nd pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Vincent Edwards from Purdue University.
Vince Edwards, a veteran player, started all 35 games last year, a tough-minded leader for Matt Painter's team.
6'8", he's a versatile four-man, and he plays with a lot of confidence. He can step out and hit a three, shot just under 40%. If you put a slower big guy on him, he can take you to the rim. He can back down a smaller wing. A good team player, 94th percentile in college in spot-up shooting. Really good form and should be able to stretch the floor a bit in the NBA.
Benson Edwards and Purdue going to the Jazz. First time tonight, the Thunder on the clock with pick number 53 when you come back. You're watching the NBA Draft 2018 presented by State Farm. Winding down the latter stages of the second round, the final round of the NBA Draft. See what's happened tonight. DeAndre Ayton sharing a moment with his mom after the Suns took him #1 overall. Luka Doncic, right after winning the Spanish League Championship, hugging his mom, Miriam. He is on his way to Dallas. And Jaren Jackson, who, by the way, 4th overall, the highest a Michigan State player has been drafted since the year Magic Johnson went first and his teammate Greg Kelser went 4th back in 1979. The last 2 picks, Oklahoma City took Devin Hall, the sharpshooting, good defensive player out of the University of Virginia. And Shake Milton's not going to have to move too far. He goes from SMU to Dallas. That's assuming that the pick stays there, and you never know in the second round. Hornets make the 55th pick overall right now.
We have another trade to announce. The Philadelphia 76ers trade the draft rights to Kyrie Thomas, the 38th pick, to the Detroit Pistons for 2 future second-round picks. With the 55th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Arnoldus Kubica from Marijampolė, Lithuania, and Bros Bamberg in Germany.
So the Hornets make Arnoldus Kubica their pick at 55 overall. Mike Schmitz?
Yes, 6'10" wing from Lithuania, signed a long-term deal with Bamberg in Germany, but spent this past season on loan with Capo de Orlando in Italy, southern Italy. Had a nice season. The team didn't have much success, but he improved in terms of his toughness. Now, he's a little bit one-dimensional, doesn't handle it great, not a great defender, but had a nice showing at the NBA Global Academy and is an intriguing draft and stash prospect. Probably going to stay over for 2 more years or so with Bamberg.
All right, so Kubica, the last pick there, and now the Sixers, who just traded a second-round pick, you heard, back on the clock at number 56.
NBA Draft 2018 is presented by State Farm, here to help life go right. And in part by the 4 for $4 from Wendy's, with 8 main sandwiches to choose from.
You seized your future from fate's hands. You created this opportunity. Who will be the next great NBA player? His picture on walls. His name, a brand. His game, remembered forever.
We in the game trying to make it to the top. And it's a shame you've been waiting, but here we are.
Just a few more picks remaining here in the 2018 NBA Draft. Here are some recent selections, the most recent being Ray Spalding from Louisville. Very talented big man, room to grow. Oklahoma City making its 2nd pick of the night. Here's Mark Tatum.
We have another trade to announce. The Sacramento Kings trade the draft rights to Gary Trent Jr., the 37th pick, to the Portland Trail Blazers for 2 future second-round picks and financial considerations. With the 57th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Kevin Hervey from the University of Texas, Arlington.
Kevin Hervey averaged better than 20 points and a little over 8 rebounds per game as a senior for UTA.
Yeah, he's a versatile four-man. He's light on his feet. Another guy with a 7'2" wingspan. Very springy, gets great elevation, and can shoot it. Has a little bit of an injury history, had an ACL, and is young for his class, but averaged over 20 points per game, and has very good instincts as a scorer.
There is Kevin Hervey, 57th pick, 3 more to go here in this NBA Draft. I've got a trivia question for the boys here coming up in just a second. I want to remind you, though, as soon as we finish here on the draft, Sports Center. After the draft, Scott Van Pelt breaks down everything that happened in the draft. He'll recap the picks as only SVP can do. Luka, Michael Porter Jr., Trae Young, how do they fit on their team? Woj will be there with the deals of the day. All right, Kevin Hervey just was selected by Oklahoma City out of UT Arlington. He is now the fourth player from UT Arlington to be selected in the NBA draft. Can you name any of the other ones? That's worth a 50 spot. It might be worth 100.
Yes, that with 2 picks to go.
Yeah, with 2 picks to go. Can you name any of the other ones? UT Arlington. Hervey being the fourth.
I know I can, Jay.
I don't think I can.
All right, Ralph McPherson and Albert Colton in 1982 both went to the Mavericks, and Paul Renfro in 1980 went to the Jazz. So Hervey, the first guy since 1982 to come out of UT Arlington, and that Communion 100 is still safe, baby. Here's Tatum.
With the 58th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Thomas Welsh from UCLA.
Thomas Welsh, very good shooting, big man, selected 58th overall by the Nuggets. Here are some draft headlines. 6 of the top 16 draft picks have been traded. We had 11 in the first round last year that ended up not playing for the team who technically selected them. Dallas winds up with Luka Doncic. Atlanta winds up with Trae Young. Michael Porter Jr. was taken with the last pick in the lottery. That was the result of his medical concerns due to the back surgery and some other medical reports that some teams had trouble getting.
Reese, I got a question.
On it.
I got a big question for
Ask me. Are you offering money for an answer?
Did I boldly predict that Trae would be the 3rd pick in the draft yesterday?
You know what? I think you did.
I think I did too.
I didn't offer any money for that, did I?
I mean, I'm just saying.
That's pretty good, though. In our draft preview show, you had a bold prediction. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
He was taking 5th.
To Atlanta.
But he's taking 5th.
No, but he's picked for 3rd, though.
He was traded for 3rd.
Traded for 3rd.
So what pick was he? The
5th. Because the Mavericks took
not as bold as you thought.
So I should have said.
Not so fast, my friend.
I did say he's going to go to the Atlanta Hawks, but I thought it would be the 3rd pick.
They traded down, swapped, and ended up getting their guy. So you were close. You were in the neighborhood.
50-50.
Right.
Ask me some more UT Arlington questions.
All right, so how good a pro do you think Kevin Hervey can be? How about that one?
He can be good. He's a good shooter.
They've got a couple of good.
You're asking questions when I was in high school.
couple of good shooters they've taken. Hervey and Devin Hall out of Virginia. Suns now making a pick.
With the 59th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select George King from the University of Colorado.
Buffs representing, so what do you think?
That's
Mr.
right,
CU?
baby.
What do you think about George King?
CU Buffaloes, I think he's going to be, I really do. I think he's going to be a solid pro. He'll have a chance to make their roster big, strong, can really score the basketball. Was coached very well by Tad Boyle. I'm excited for him. I really am. I thought he floated under the radar all while he was in college. He was a redshirt guy as a freshman, really grinded himself on up. I'm proud and happy for him.
He's really strong. When he lowers his shoulder, he can bowl into people. And so I can understand why he got taken there. Wasn't the most efficient player, but I agree with Chauncey. He was really well coached by Tad Boyle. Tad's got a good program.
And so he joins the Phoenix Suns. DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges drafted earlier, or Mikal Bridges going to Phoenix as a result of a trade. He was technically drafted 10th overall by Philadelphia, but they made a swap. He's on his way to Phoenix, and now George King, a talented guy adding to that roster in Phoenix of Ryan McDonough in the quest to become America's team and end a long playoff drought and get back into the postseason in Phoenix fashion. For so long, the Suns a staple in the playoffs, and now got Ayton, got Devin Booker, Josh Jackson, Mikal Bridges. Opportunity perhaps for them to be the big winners of the night as we wait on the final pick of the night from the 76ers.
Oh, if you're the Phoenix Suns, you would hope so. You know, you have the worst record in the league. There's nowhere to go but up, and they did that tonight. They really did. They upgraded a ton of spots on their roster.
The 76ers have the last pick in the 2018 NBA Draft. The Deputy Commissioner of the NBA, Mark Tatum, with the final pick of the night.
Before tonight's final pick, I'd like to thank ESPN and our international broadcasters for their coverage of our draft. I'd also like to thank everyone here tonight in Brooklyn and the millions of passionate fans around the world watching. With the 60th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Kostas Antetokounmpo from Athens, Greece, and the University of Dayton. Good night.
Wait a year for Anthony Grant at Dayton. The brother of the Greek freak, Kostas Antetokounmpo, is going to Philadelphia.
Went to Dayton, only averaged about 5 or 6 points a game, but what you're hoping is he turns into anything approaching his brother because he's another sort of long-armed, freakishly athletic guy, and if he puts it all together, who knows what could happen.
I'm with you, Jay. Where are these guys getting these arms from, man? The wingspan today is just out of this world.
I don't know where they're going to get shirts.
So Antetokounmpo going to the 76ers. His brother, after he was drafted, averaged 6 points a game as a rookie, and this past season averaged about 26 points a game. So they're hoping for that type of growth from Kostas. What about some final thoughts now that the draft is complete? What's your prevailing takeaway from what happened tonight?
Well, I thought it was really interesting, all the big guys that went early in the draft. We expected it. It's funny how things kind of went to form. There were a couple outliers here and there that might have gone 10 spots away from where you thought they would go. But Phoenix did really well to get DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Elie Okobo. Ryan McDonough had a very nice draft. I think the Suns have to be feeling pretty good about things after tonight.
I agree with you. I agree with Jay 100%. The Suns did a terrific job. They had a lot of picks in this draft. I thought Atlanta did a good job as well. I really do. I thought Atlanta, they upgraded their roster, did a very good job. I like the gamble that the Denver Nuggets made. I really do. Michael Porter Jr. has a chance to be a real star in this league if he's healthy. I also like what they did as well.
And quietly, the Clippers had a good night getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jerome Robinson. Those were good picks.
A guard who can lead and a guard who can score for sure. It has been a sensational night in Brooklyn. Thank you for watching the NBA Draft 2018. Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt is coming up next on ESPN. For our entire talented crew, both in front of the camera and behind it, I'm Reese Davis saying good night from Brooklyn.